Yes. Hello, my beautiful friends. What an amazing day it is. We've got a great live stream planned ahead. We're jumping back into Minnesota because we have an injunction that was attempted to be imposed on the Trump administration to stop Operation Metro Surge that has now failed. They lost. Minnesota blown out by a Biden judge, and her name is Menendez too, which is very curious. So we're going to go through that, see what the reaction is, and then a bunch of additional response from Congress, from Kristi Noem, from President Trump himself, all the latest on what's going down in Minnesota, Minneapolis, St. Paul. They're all very upset about this. Jacob Frey saying he's disappointed that ICE is going to be there rounding up illegal aliens. Now, we'll then turn our attention to another unhinged judge who is about as old as dirt, who also came down and said that it's ordered that a 5-year-old boy be reunited with his father. Oh, isn't that cute? Well, last week we talked about that father, and the father, as soon as he was about to be detained, abandoned his boy and just took off down the street sprinting like an illegal alien. And now, of course, we're learning more about this guy. Was he here legally? Was he on temporary protected status or not? And the DOJ and the Homeland Security agencies are continuing forward. We also found another story today. Apparently $1 billion, give or take, went over to support illegal alien defense funds. It's like official fraud, right? It's actually facilitating payments to secure our own invasion. We'll talk about it. And then a Fulton County freakout because they're very, very nervous about this. They're talking about suing the Trump administration, which is what we already anticipated would happen. And Colton Moore and others are responding to the situation down there in Fannyland. And so it's going to be a great stream. Very glad that you're here and with us. We're warming up the Monday tubes. We got 6 more weeks of winter. We're keeping our eye on a bunch of stuff that's unfolding right now. President Trump just wrapped up in the Oval Office, was asking or answering some questions about the Jeffrey Epstein saga and a bunch of other things. And so we're very glad to be with you. We had a beautiful members only morning stream as well this morning. If you missed that, we talked about a lot of the Epstein stuff, which is really percolating out there as a main topic today. But I think there's a little bit of Epstein fatigue out there in the air. We're keeping our eye on that one, of course. But today we've got Minnesota. And so let's just get right into it, shall we? Because it looks like the tubes are warm. And we're happy to see that. Yeah, Puxatawny Phil was out this morning. All right, so let's get into it. Blowout in Minnesota. You see Jacob Frey and the Minneapolis city posting this response to losing after a Biden judge just found that their claim, their litigation, their lawsuit to stop Operation Metro Surge is a failure. They were trying to rely on the 10th Amendment to say the federal government can't come in and enforce federal law. Obviously, that's ridiculous. So we'll take a look at the actual order that dropped and see who actually wrote this order, because her name is Catherine Menendez. And that's curious because she was appointed by Joe Biden, and she's even finding that Minnesota, you lose. Sorry. And we'll go through it. But here is the reaction from Minneapolis. They said, "We're disappointed in the denial of a preliminary injunction to end Operation Metro Surge. Womp. But today's decision is just one step in the lawsuit. The city will continue to pursue the lawsuit to hold the Trump administration to account." Now, of course, we're disappointed, said Mayor Frey. This decision doesn't change what people here have lived through. What? Free healthcare, free housing, free education, free cell phones, love of the entire Democratic Party. They can commit crimes, hand over fist. No one even cares. He says, what people have been living through is fear, disruption, and harm caused by federal operations that never belonged in Minneapolis in the first place. You know who didn't belong there? The illegal aliens. This operation has not brought public safety because you have enabled the riots. It's brought the opposite and has detracted from the order we need for a working city. It's an invasion and it just needs to stop. Womp. So you can see he's very upset about this. It is an invasion. You're right. We have been invaded. 20 million illegals, courtesy of Joe Biden and the Democratic Party. Now he's unhappy that we're removing them from America. So we got reaction on this from Eric Doherty, clipped a couple of videos for us here. This is Senator Rick Scott. He's saying, what a ridiculous party this is. How can they want more criminals in their societies? It makes no sense unless, you know, of course, they're suicidal.
Says enough is enough. All right. One, we're tired of earmarks. We're tired of.
Let's boost this volume up here and restart this clip.
Says enough is enough. All right, one, we're tired of earmarks, we're tired of wasteful spending, and we want to make sure ICE is fully funded so we can secure this country. And who wants these criminals in our country?
Democrats.
Like, who in their right mind wants a criminal that might rape their daughter or their granddaughter in this country? Yeah. I don't. Why are the Democrats doing this? Why do they want to shut down ICE?
I thought the public made its voice very clear, a year and a half ago when they went to the ballot box.
Yeah.
But here we are, I guess, 6 months later, and you're telling me that's the only... I don't know. Government can't be shut down for 6 months until the next election. So there's going to have to be some other form of leverage, some other mechanism or lever to pull in order to keep our government funded beyond completely capitulating.
Yeah, so good points there. And why are they so in love with this constituency? It's because it's about power and money. And for them, the people who are at the top, the people who are getting the power and the money, they're not getting AR'd. They're not getting killed. They're not getting their daughters have their bodies mutilated and abused and then throw over a bridge. That's not what happens to their families. Happens to our families. The rest of us have to go and compete with illegal aliens. If you're starting a small business, I grew up cleaning swimming pools and doing construction. I don't know if that's available for little Robbie in 2026 anymore. So all of this, of course, increases the cost of living. It increases our taxes. It increases inflation. We have to pay for all this crap. And the elite, they don't suffer from any of that. All it does by bringing these people in is secures their power. It gets them more money, as we're going to get to later. I've got a bunch of documents queued up here today. So Rick Scott is right. In other words, they prefer their political power, the elites, more than they care about you and your families getting murdered, killed, losing your businesses, losing, your country, essentially losing your culture. They don't care, because for them, it's about the end game. So we got this order that came down, as I mentioned, from Menendez. She was appointed by Joe Biden in 2021. And this whole lawsuit is emanating out of an attempt by Minnesota to try to stop Operation Metro Surge. You can see this is the docket. It's been going on quite a while. We had oral arguments last week. We were waiting for a ruling, and we got one. And it's not good for Tim Walz, Keith Ellison, and Mayor Frey. So here you can see they sued. It is taking place in the District of Minnesota, same place Don Lemon got indicted. And the order just came down. We'll hit the highlights of this and then get reaction from Kristi Noem and the president himself. But they're right. In recent weeks, this is a federal judge. Several thousand federal agents have arrived in Minnesota, part of Operation Metro Surge to enforce immigration law. The flood of federal agents, it's rich, right? Calling it a flood. You know what we got flooded by? Has had profound effects on Minnesotans, causing people to respond. And now Ellison, Walz, and the rest of the leadership there, they're asking the court to declare that illegal. They want Operation Metro Surge to be declared unconstitutional, and they want an injunction, an order that halts all of the operations there. And now they say you lose, but not yet. The court pauses to observe right now what it is not deciding. Okay, so this paragraph is going to be the judge laying out why she basically thinks Minnesota should probably win, but she can't make that decision now. At this stage, the court makes no final determination on the merits, right? I'm just asked whether I, at this stage, can stop the federal government based on the 10th Amendment and Keith Ellison's failed understanding of the Constitution, which he doesn't understand at all. Nor does the court offer any opinion or wisdom about Operation Metro Surge. We don't really want your opinion or your wisdom. So thank you, Judge. We appreciate that. And because you're not elected for that, you just have to decide, is this legal? Yes or no. And the legality of many of the specific actions is not before the court. Instead, this court only decides whether to grant the extraordinary remedy of an injunction to stop the feds based on the 10th Amendment. And in answering that question, we must view Minnesota's claims through the legal framework that they invoke. And it was a terrible legal framework. We read it here. We're like, wow, they're dumb up there. Who is writing these lawsuits? Are they Somalians? And having done so, finds that plaintiffs have not met their burden. Minnesota loses. Womp womp. For the reasons discussed below, your motion is denied. Now, the relevant facts are largely undisputed right now, says the judge. In their respective evidentiary submissions, each side emphasizes the reality that supports their position. The Minnesotans and the illegal lovers, they describe the costs of this. They say, you're harming our city. You're harming our residents. Now, Trump doesn't submit any evidence even contradicting that. He's like, okay, whatever. But instead highlights the importance of immigration enforcement. Okay, we have law here that says undocumented people need to go. And defendants also present evidence broadly discussing how immigration enforcement agents have been met with resistance. They're attacked. There are whistles that you can hear that are damaging to your eardrums. They're psychological terror. They're meant to increase the tension. We read their manuals last week. Now, because the outcome of this case depends on more relevant law than granular facts, we're going to apply the law. Now, from Trump's perspective, this judge says, in December 25, the federal government launched Metro Surge. Let's go. And apparently, according to Trump, there are 66,000 aliens in Minnesota who may be subject to enforcement. We don't know how many, but they say there's a joint effort. We're coming in hot. They say Operation Metro Surge has been underway. We're not getting any help from the Minnesota State Police. And to carry this out, they are doing a bunch of things. Warrantless arrest, investigative detentions, arrest pursuant to immigration and judicial warrants. And she gives us a recitation of the facts. Now, all of it in accordance with the law. Now, from the Minnesotans' perspective, she say, well, they present a very different picture. They say there's racial profiling and they're questioning people about their citizenship status and more. And there's been shootings. Renee Good, Alex Preddy, two insurgents who tried to, one, shove their car down a federal agent's throat, and another one who was repeatedly obstructing the operation. They moved him aside on the street. He went back into the street after he was ordered to get out of the way, leaving chemical munitions and blah, blah, blah. They're very upset about it. It's impacted healthcare. Everyone's dying in Minnesota. We got it. Look at this friggin' list here. So what are the motivations for it? Let's get to the law. We know what the motivations are. We want the illegals gone. Claims and procedural history. We can fast forward through all of that. Now let's talk about the actual law and the holding. She says, first, this court is going to determine whether Minnesota even has a claim. Are they going to win or are they idiots? We know the answer because we read their filing. She explains the 10th Amendment. The Constitution established a system of federalism where there's dual sovereignty. We've talked about this a lot. You got a federal government, you got state government, you have the Supremacy Clause, which says there's a conflict, the feds win. Over the years, the Supreme Court has addressed this in various contexts. They've said the 10th Amendment is an anti-commandeering principle and flesh it out through a bunch of case law. And you can encroach on the 10th Amendment in certain ways. She explains how. But now, against this law, this court has to consider what Keith Ellison is trying to accomplish here and whether this violates the 10th Amendment. They raise two theories. First, they say it's the resources theory. They say, well, if the feds are here, then we have to expend resources to deal with the feds. The second theory is called improper influence theory, which is that Trump is trying to use this surge to create policy changes there in Minnesota, which would be improper influence of a state. Now, though their position is not without merit, saying, well, they have a good point on some things here, for several reasons, the court finds they're not going to win. First, this would require us to conclude that there's a fair chance that the Supreme Court 10th Amendment precedent bars the federal government from enforcing immigration law. She's like, that's ridiculous. You want me to come out here and say that they're going to win this? That the 10th Amendment prohibits the feds from doing immigration law? She says, I can't do that. This weighs heavily against the issuance of an injunction. It's ridiculous. Now, to be clear, the court is not suggesting that it's categorically inapplicable. She's just saying here, this is federal immigration law. Now, at the same time, the Supreme Court relies on a couple other statutes and they rely on another statute. But while the novelty of their claim, right, it was ridiculous. We read it. We're like, what are they talking about? Federal immigration is literally, it's in the purview of the federal government. Does not necessarily preclude their success, but it weighs against an injunction and they lose. She's like, I'm not going to overturn decades of Supreme Court precedent because I'm unhappy with Operation Metro Surge. Now, second, is Trump using this to improperly cause Tim Walz to not be a sanctuary city or something? They say, although the court finds their improper influence theory to be the stronger of the two, they're both pretty terrible, but this one's a little better. The inferences to be drawn about this coercive proposition is not as one-sided as they say, right? Trump is coming in here to attack us because we're Democrats. They say that they're carrying this out in brazenly lawless ways to modify their sanctuary laws. And they certainly have put forth evidence to support this theory. They've got statements from a bunch of people. Tom Homan said the following. Several courts have already made other decisions. But however, There was also support that cuts the other way, actually in briefing and on the record, saying there are other motivations behind this surge. Before its outset, executive branch officials said this is necessary. There is widespread fraud in Minnesota against all government programs, billions of dollars stolen by these poor Somalians who just want to come to America and make our lives better, which is difficult to do when they steal from you, but that's their perspective. Defendants have introduced evidence that the operation was also launched to increase arrests of non-citizens and more. But based on the record, the judge says, a fact finder could reasonably credit the plaintiff's policies, sanctuary policies, requiring a greater presence of federal agents. If your sanctuary policies act as a magnet and a bunch of illegals come here, it's going to alert the federal government whose job it is to monitor illegal aliens. Saying, because there is evidence supporting both sides' arguments as to what's going on here, the court is reluctant to grant them a victory. And their improper influence claim invites the court to identify the precise point when the Trump administration went bad. And they ask us to make a quantitative and a qualitative line drawing. But we can't do that. They cannot point to what number of federal officers would demonstrate a de facto 10th Amendment violation. So how many federal agents until your state has been commandeered? She says, well, qualitatively, there's no way for me to come to this decision. Plaintiffs have provided no metric. You've given us no standards. I can't say, oh, well, what does the law say about this? And let me measure the Trump administration against this standard. They just don't even offer a standard. They're just like, we really just don't like this. So the line drawing difficulties, there is no standard. It highlights a doctrinal challenge as well. In fact, the Supreme Court and their case law involving situations where states are being infringed upon says it's a legal on-off switch. There needs to be a clearly identifiable congressional or regulatory command that violates state sovereignty, and here there is not. Congress says, for example, where they tell the states that they cannot enact laws authorizing sports betting, a court can, based on the statute, hold that Congress cannot give such a command. But even when it is clear what the coercion is, the case law does not describe a way by which the court could draw the line between what is permissible and what is compulsion. So I don't have a standard to test this against. We do, but it's not anything that you're alleging here about congressional intent. And many of the same problems also weigh against finding for Minnesota. They're not going to win on their case. Now, in addition to suffering from the same line drawing problems as above, there's also a jurisdictional procedure problem. In U.S. versus Texas, a 2023 Supreme Court case, Texas and Louisiana sued Homeland. They argued that Homeland was not doing enough to remove the illegals. Remember, this happened during Biden. Remember the Haitian migrants and the lariat, the whipper, the Border Patrol who was using a lariat on his horse. They said he was whipping the Haitians. They lie constantly about everything. Maryland man, lie. George Floyd, lie. Haitian migrants, lie. 5-year-old illegal alien child, lie. There, the Supreme Court held that Texas and Louisiana, sorry states, you can't sue. You can't sue us on immigration because immigration is in the purview of the executive branch. We have a dual system, but in some subject matter, the feds have control. And so immigration law is not commandeering. The court also finds that they've not shown any success for their equal sovereignty claim, like they're being targeted for invalid law enforcement purposes. Nope. Immigration enforcement is perfectly appropriate. They do not point to any authority that gives us any other basis of holding. And so in sum, you lose. Now, the court has frequently observed other things. They've made a strong showing that this is going to be heartbreaking and there are big consequences for immigration enforcement. There have been multiple shootings. She's worried about racial profiling and all the things, but those are not the only harms to be considered. Balancing the harms is not as straightforward as the Minnesotans would like you to believe. Now, ultimately, the court finds that the balance of the harms does not decisively favor Minnesota. Blown out, you lose. And even if the likelihood of success weighed in their favor, the court would still likely to be unable to grant this relief. You want an injunction stopping Metro surge. You want the entire Homeland Security Agency to be limited. The 8th Circuit Court of Appeals recently vacated something very similar to this, and that was even narrower than this. So even our courts of appeals say you lose, and so therefore, in one of the dumbest lawsuits that we ever saw, brought by the Minnesotans, Keith Ellison, Tim Walz, and Frey. It is now hereby ordered that your motion for an injunction, Jacob and Tim and Keith, is denied. Get out of here. Operation Metro Surge continues on. And so they were very unhappy about this. We saw, I got some fun stuff. Yeah, here queued up. Where is my link here from Keith Ellison? Because he was very upset about this. Do I have this? Well, what we got next is Ron Johnson. He is better than Keith Ellison. He says, Democrats opened our borders. They're flooding America with millions of illegal immigrants, including members of violent gangs, transnational criminal organizations, human and other types of traffickers. Now they want to neuter our ability to deport the criminals and enforce immigration laws. Sanctuary cities, like what they have in Minnesota and California and New York and Chicago and many places, should be outlawed. And local officials should cooperate with federal enforcement trying to clean up this enormous Democrat-created mess. Here's Ron Johnson, great senator.
Good morning, Dan. Well,
Good morning.
Again, what the Democrats were demanding were judicial warrants. Immigration has always been enforced through administrative warrants. You've got millions of cases because President Biden and Democrats opened the border and flooded America with millions of people. Included in those millions are criminals, sex traffickers, human traffickers, drug traffickers, members of transnational criminal organizations, violent gangs. So Democrats created this enormous mess, and President Trump's trying to clean it up. And I've got a great deal of sympathy for those individuals, whether it's department secretaries or the law enforcement officers on the ground trying to clean up that mess. How would you like to be an ICE officer or any law enforcement officer where you've got literally signal chats that are deploying trained activists to surround you in your enforcement actions? You don't have any idea what these people may do to you. You've already been shot at. You've had your vehicles rammed by these peaceful protesters by their vehicles. So again,
Insurgents.
ICE officers, Customs and Border Patrol, they are at hair trigger alert because of this activism where you have enforcement, law enforcement cooperating. State and local government cooperating with ICE. You don't have these kind of instances, these tragedies that occurred in Minneapolis.
Yeah, and they want more of that because they don't want the illegals gone. That's their entire constituency. And if they give in, then they lose power, they lose money, they lose congressional seats. Ooh, you deport all those Somalians out of Minnesota, maybe Ilhan doesn't have a seat anymore. That's devastating to them. So Ron Johnson is out explaining that. And meanwhile, back in Minnesota, we had these dorks who can't even parallel park their friggin' car. Their minivan says the libs in Minneapolis are now trying to recreate, shout out to Jack Posobiec, said they're trying to recreate the iconic Marines on Iwo Jima photo. But they brought a fake Somali flag because they couldn't even bring an American flag, okay? These guys, it's like, what are you freaking dorks doing? They filmed this whole thing. It's like embarrassing. They look pretty white, but they should be deported too. If they want to go back to Somalia, they should go too. So here, House Judiciary GOP said, actually, these are the real American heroes, not lefty libs with low T trying to recreate an actual scene of actual heroes. Instead, these people are just fighting for Somalians. So shout out to the real American heroes, not the Minnesotan dorks. Now, also, we've got John Kennedy. He had Sean Hannity laughing. He said, are you drunk over there? John, here's this exchange where Kennedy is explaining just how bad the Democrats are on this issue.
Let me just say a couple of things quickly, Sean. Number one, Governor Tim Walz. Whatever he says, believe the opposite. I'm sorry, the man learned to lie before he learned to talk. He's just a.
I can't help it. You crack me up.
Well, he's just a less masculine version of Hillary Clinton.
Oh man! Oh my gosh!
Number two.
Did you go drinking before tonight? Did you have dinner before? Keep going.
No,
keep going.
I don't even drink. I don't even drink. Number two, unless you have a history of disappointing your parents, you know that illegal immigration is illegal. And the Democrats are always telling us, nobody is above the law. Well, how come people who are in our country illegally are above the law?
Yeah.
I support enforcing our immigration laws. Now, how you do it matters. It has to be done in accordance with due process and equal protection.
Yeah, they got all that.
The other point, people just need to understand, they have the right to protest, but they don't have the right to protest violently. Violence.
Yeah, and violence is a very high standard, right? Because they're not really committing violence. Some of them are. Renee Good trying to run over an agent, yeah. The other guy kicking police vehicles and spitting on them, Alex Preddy, that's assault. So those are violent attacks, but many of them specifically are trying to be not violent, but still criminal, still obstructionary. So that word I think is important. Kash Patel is doing the same thing. If you are trying to attack our officers, well, they are actually. They're blowing whistles in their ears. They're trying to wreck their eardrums. They're trying to increase the psychological tension. They wrote that in their manuals. They're impeding. They're playing dumb. Oh, I'm just a dumb protester. Am I not supposed to stand here? Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, no, go over there. Okay, and then they just walk right back to where they were. Oh, am I just standing here again? Oh, sorry, I got confused. I got turned around. Which way is north? And it's a nonstop obstruction that's going with them. That is criminal. They're not, not all of them. Some of them are shooting at ICE agents. Some of them are spitting at them. But many of them are trying to be nonviolent, but they're still criminal. There's still obstruction happening, and they're still part of a national cabal of people who are forming an insurgency.
Undermines the morality.
So the problem with not, identifying that, labeling it appropriately, is you miss all those people
that they say their movement is built on. Dr. King understood that. Mandela understood that. Interfering with the police, protesting violently, is also deep dish stupid. You can get hurt.
And
the
killed.
truth is, most cops, most ICE officials, they will leave you alone unless you do illegal stuff. And number three, Lindsay was on earlier. Sean, he's right about the sanctuary cities. Senator Thune, I love you like a taco, man. If you're listening right now, let us bring a bill to the floor of the United States Senate to get rid of sanctuary cities. And let's do it along with combating fraud under reconciliation so we don't need Democratic votes. Lindsay is right. It's time.
It is time. It's time a long time ago. These are little insurgencies, okay? It's like a soft secession, except they still stay on the federal teat, and we still have to pay them an allowance, which is money back for their illegal alien constituency. So President Trump posted today. Your favorite president said, all right, got an update on this. I have instructed Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, that under no circumstances are we going to participate in various poorly run Democrat cities with regard to their protest and or riots, unless and until they ask for help, which they never will. We will, however, guard, and very powerfully so, any and all federal buildings that are being attacked by these highly paid lunatics, agitators, and insurrectionists. Please be aware that I have instructed ICE and or Border Patrol to be very forceful in this protection of federal government property. There will be no spitting in the faces of our officers. There will be no punching or kicking the headlights of our cars like Alex Preddy did. And there will be no rock or brick throwing at our vehicles or at our patriot warriors. If there is, those people will suffer an equal or more consequence. In the meantime, by copy of this statement, Trump says, I am informing local governments, as I did in LA when they were rioting at the end of the Biden term, that you must protect your own state and local property. In addition, it is your obligation to also protect federal property, buildings, parks, and everything else. We are there to protect federal property only as a backup, in that it is local and state responsibility to do so. Last night in Eugene, Oregon, these criminals broke into a federal building and did great damage, also scaring and harassing the hardworking employees. Insurgency, insurrection. Local police did nothing in order to stop it because they want it. We will not let that happen anymore. If local governments are unable to handle the insurrectionists, the agitators, and the anarchists, we will immediately go to the location where such help is requested and take care of the situation very easily and methodically, just as we did during the LA riots 1 year ago, where the police chief said that, quote, we couldn't have done it without the help of the federal government. Therefore, to all complaining local governments, governors, and mayors, let us know when you're ready and we will be there. But before we do so, you must use the word please. Remember that I stated in the strongest of language to beware. ICE, Border Patrol, or if necessary, our military will be extremely powerful and tough in the protection of our federal property. We will not allow our courthouses, our federal buildings, or anything else under our protection to be damaged in any way, shape, or form. I was elected on a policy of border control, which has now been perfected. National security and law and order. That's what America wants, and that's what America is getting. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Signed by President Donald J. Trump. And Kristi Noem got the message loud and clear. And here is what she said on with Fox and Friends.
Well, the president's exactly right. We've got the Department of Homeland Security that is coming off its most successful year under his leadership in the history of the department. We have secured the border. We've driven down the murder rates and the crime rates to historic lows in this country, saved hundreds of millions of lives by interdicting drugs across the country and in our maritime borders. We've seen the left violently react, perpetuate violence and mob rule in our cities in retaliation for President Trump enforcing the law. And we're going to continue on a tactical plan to confront this violence that they're bringing to make sure we still continue to do the right thing. We're going to enforce the law, focus on the successes that we've had for the American people and bringing public safety to them. And we're going to go into this next year delivering even more results, making sure that our officers have the ability to conduct operations to get these dangerous criminals off of our streets that are perpetuating violence, and continue to go forward and deliver FEMA funding and help these states that have been so hit hard in these storms recently, and run TSA and keep our airlines and air traffic control safe. All of those are jobs of the Department of Homeland Security that we need to continue to push on, even though we have these violent monsters that are attacking law enforcement every day, continuing to use their tactics. We will outsmart them, and we will make sure that we keeping America safe.
Amazing. So that's Kristi Noem. And the president, that's the next segment. Kristi also was saying we've got a bunch of people who are coming out to help, including more people who want to join and support ICE. So if you're looking for a change of career, they've had tens of thousands of applications and they're hiring. So get yours in if you're interested.
The people at the Department of Homeland Security and law enforcement are so excited they get to do their jobs. They're so proud to work for a president that is strong, that is decisive, and that wants to make America safe and enforce our laws again. So they're doing great. In fact, Rachel, just at ICE, we had over 220,000 applications for 10,000 openings. At USCIS, we've had tens of thousands of applications. Secret Service applications have more than doubled. We've got people in every department that are asking to come and work for the Department of Homeland Security because they recognize that we want to defend the homeland, that a country with no borders is no country at all, that people who live here and our citizens deserve safety on their streets, and that we deliver a response of protection of our critical infrastructure and relief to states when they face disasters through FEMA as well. It's a vast department with a lot of responsibilities, 23 different agencies, all tasked with keeping people safe, and that's exactly what President Trump is doing.
All right, so a little bit of update from Kristi Noem. 220,000 applications for only 10,000 openings. We got to bump those numbers up. We need to hire all 220,000 of those. And then they all get hired. And if you just do the math on that, let's say it's 200,000. Every single person hired can pick up, let's say, 5 illegal aliens a month. That's like 1 million illegal aliens a month. Yeah, we can get it done by the end of the term, I think. Just doing the rough math out there, which you know how badly that is. So Kristi Noem saying we're hiring. Hopefully they double the applications or do a lot more than that. But Minnesota crushed. They tried to sue and kick ICE out of their city and their towns, and they lost because the federal government has the supremacy clause, and immigration law was already codified by Congress. Our whole country has been following it for many years now until the sanctuary scam got underway. Joe Biden brought in millions. We paid for it. They gobbled up power. They want to create a uniparty, one-party country. We're not going to allow that to happen, thanks to President Trump and Kristi Noem. All right, now, let's turn our attention into this little fella, because we have another story to attend to. Another Democrat hoax is now out. You see, this is the image of the 5-year-old boy called Liam, who was so betrayed by the American government because we wanted to deport his father, now reunited again in another humiliation ritual for American citizens. They also let Kilmar Abrego Garcia out, and he's roaming around making TikTok videos. And now Ilhan is taking this photo to really rub it in. And it's pretty disgusting to watch that our federal government is enabling this, but Liam is home now, and we are grateful to Joaquin Castro from Texas for traveling to Minneapolis with him and his dad. So they were being detained back in Texas. So a Texas representative leaves Texas to go fight for illegal aliens. These people did not have legal status, flies them to Minneapolis. Then they take a photo celebrating the fact that a judge who's a lunatic released the father. Here's some more on the story. This guy, of course, we're familiar with. We saw his video last week. When ICE went to come and detain him, he abandoned his boy. He wasn't all that interested in it. And so we'll play this video. And I want to just pause on this video because, you know, like, there's humanity to law enforcement, right? You don't want to see people hurting. You don't want to see people crying. You don't want to see people in pain generally, if you're a good person. But we also don't want to see that for our community. Our communities are in pain. Our community, our country, we're broke. We have crime rampant. We have our taxpayer dollars being just gobbled up by these people. They come, they don't even learn English. They break the laws, they commit new crimes. And so we also have to have compassion for our country, for our people. I don't want to watch people hurting and crying and I don't like to watch pain. But we can't have pain in our country. And so unfortunately for them, we have to enforce the laws. It's not a mean thing. It's not a cruel thing. It's the enforcement of the law. That's all it is. Is it cruel to prosecute somebody for any other crime or to enforce the law in any other mechanism? No. It's just the law. And so here's this lady who is crying and screaming for her baby daddy, who doesn't give a crap about the kid, who as soon as he gets an opportunity, abandoned ship. And I actually think this lady was kind of helping blockade him, right? Giving him a hand out of the vehicle. So they're both co-conspirators and they should all be deported. Here's the video of this 5-year-old boy who was separated from his father. He wasn't. Father ran away. Sir, why? Well, the answer to the why question is because you're here illegally. That's why. Okay, watch. Now, helps him out. And he's gone. Bye. So then he abandons his kid.
Leave him alone!
They have to track him down. So he just doesn't respect the law at all and doesn't really care about his family, just abandoned ship. And his apparently baby mama was helping him in that process. So it's unfortunate that they came into our country illegally. If they wouldn't have done that, then none of this would be happening to them. But because there's a crying woman and a child involved, we're supposed to just say, oh, whatever. All right, guess that's it. Pack up your bags, boys. Time to go home. The answer, obviously, is that this guy's not a good hombre. Bill Malugin said that Fox News got a photo of this guy. His name's Adrian Alexander Conejo Arias, the father of the 5-year-old boy who he left abandoned on the street. A senior Homeland official tells Fox they have no record of the family entering the U.S. via Biden's CBP-1 Uber illegal alien app. Hi, I'd like to go to America. I'm an illegal alien. Oh, sure, your ride will be here in 5 minutes. Like, oh, perfect. Honey, get ready. It's going to be here sooner than we thought. All right, perfect. Came and got him. Didn't even use the cell phone app. The family attorney said that, oh, no, he had lawful status. And there's this scam going on. They're all asylees. They're all TPS, temporary protected status. They're all refugees under attack in their home countries. And they're here legally, even though those statuses were all ridiculous. Like asylum is if you have, we're going to get there in a minute. Instead, he's an Ecuadorian national. He's in the U.S. illegally. Homeland even offered him a process called VR, called voluntary return, to leave. He could go home. There would be no immigration consequences at all, but he declined, okay? So he had plenty of process. He could have cooperated. He didn't. He wanted to continue to live here illegally. And then we fly him back to Minnesota? Homeland says Conejo Arias fled from ICE agents who were trying to arrest him. He left his 5-year-old son called Liam behind with ICE agents in a situation now seen that's gone viral. This has sparked claims that he was kidnapped. Liam was kidnapped and targeted by ICE to be used as bait. That's who this person is. He wasn't here on TPS status that was later canceled. He's not a visa overstay. He's an illegal alien. And they gave him an opportunity to leave, and he didn't. He just wanted to continue to be illegal. That's why he violated federal orders, his baby mama helping him do it as he left his kids. Now you see they've returned them together. And it's another hoax. They were saying kidnapped, and they're all celebrating it. The illegals can run free. Kilmar can make, Christian hymn videos about overcoming injustice in our country, and now they're reunited. Isn't that great? So here we see that Stephen Miller posted this, and he's explaining what's really going on. He says, here's a little primer on asylum. Okay, first of all, these were not asylum seekers, but many on the left say they were here as refugees. They're seeking asylum status. They're going to be tortured if they go back to their papusa business, just like Kilmar said. Lies. They're all filled with lies. He says, here's a little primer on this in case you're wondering. There are no asylum seekers on the southern border. It just doesn't exist. Asylum is limited to individuals fleeing extremely narrow categories of state persecution. In other words, not your papusa business. High-ranking Soviet defectors from the Cold War, we granted them asylum. None of the groups illegally crossing our border ever fit that, meaning all of the illegals here didn't fit that status. No one in Mexico or Ecuador or Honduras or Guatemala live in nations where there is any state prosecution of any protected class. It's all fake all the way down. And we saw that literally in the Kilmar case because the judge said, well, a gang is going to go attack his family's papusa business and they had to move from El Salvador to Guatemala. Okay, that's not a state sanctioned hit on you. That's just standard crime in your state. There's crime all over America. Can we just go claim asylum status to any country in the world that we want because there's something bad happening in our lives? It's ridiculous. It's fake. Joe Biden let everybody in and gave them all that checkbox. And the immigration judges and now the Article 3 judges, the district court judges, are also finding along that same line. Now, all non-Mexican illegals have transited through additional countries on the way to America. There's only one country at our southern border. It's called Mexico. So everybody else from any one of these other countries came through Mexico. They could have stopped off in another country, but they didn't want to. They wanted to come to America where Ilhan would give them a couple $2 billion. It disqualifies and disproves all of their claims. If they're under attack in Ecuador, why don't they just pop off in Mexico then? And as yet further proof that all these claims are fake, aliens turned down the opportunity to avoid this fabricated persecution by being safely resettled in another nation. We would offer them, okay, you come here, you're under attack. Great. I'm sorry you're under attack. We're not going to let you come into America, but we'll send you, where do you want to go? You want to go over here to this other country? Go over here. Do you want to? No, they don't. Illegal aliens receive free and functionally unlimited legal services. Put a pin in this because Joe Biden gave them $1 billion to a legal defense fund coming up. When facing deportation, they and their lawyers, as a matter of course, automatically file fake asylum applications. Happens every day. The immigration lawyers know what they're doing. They all know these are not legitimate asylum claims, but they file them to stall them out. And the illegal alien communities is massive. So they pool up money together. They can pay for these claims. And lawyers, the immigration lawyers, who are some of the biggest treasonous people in our country, all getting rich and fat off of it, delaying and defending the invasion of our country. It's really disgusting. And I've seen a lot of them. Many of them have eight-figure law firms that got eight-figure law firms in the last 4 to 6 years because of this invasion. It's a multi-billion-dollar fraudulent industry. It's gross, it's unethical, it's deeply immoral, and many of them are lawyers. In fact, I think you heard about those lawyers who crashed in that airplane. I don't know if that's true or not. Immigration lawyers. They have private jets. And they all pat themselves on the back like, oh, we're fighting for humanity. No, you're facilitating the invasion of our country and you're getting paid to do it. You're a traitor. Everyone involved in this system understands and knows these claims are false. And they're legally false. You go, okay, well, you just make something up. We saw it with Kilmar, his literal papusa business that his mom made. That was his basis. It's fake. It's fraudulent. The judges still indulged it. And it's happening every day. Everyone involved in this system knows it's false. Adjudicating these knowingly false claims is a full-time job for thousands of people. Federal law also requires illegal aliens to be detained pending a hearing for their fake asylum claim. These are not prisons. They are not being punished. No one is being sentenced. And if they don't like it, they can go home. Civil detention and removal is not part of the Article 3 justice system. As we've said before, immigration goes through Article 2 courts. So all the people screeching about due process, the illegals are getting it. It's just different than what you're used to because you're too dumb to understand the difference between Article 3 and Article 2 courts. If you educated yourself and understood that illegal aliens don't get jury trials before they're being deported, then you would stop with your stupid due process insanity. They are not being punished. The goal of the U.S. government is to send them home immediately. We give them cash. We give them a free plane ticket with the fewest days in custody as logistically possible. Any delay is caused by the fake asylum claims and their petitions for a writ of habeas corpus now, which the ACLU lawyers are filing on their behalves. When the fake asylum claim is heard on the non-detained docket, the illegal aliens don't even show up for their hearings. How about our due process? How about they respect our rule of law? They don't. That's why they're here illegally. Then we put them in the system and we expect them to come back and honor our law all of a sudden. Then when they do show up and ICE goes to a court to go arrest them, then you have judges who allow them to use their back door and escape them out of their courtroom. Those few who do show stay in the country regardless after losing, unless we place them into detention. So they'll show up. Oh, I lost, whatever. I'll just stay. Removal orders are ignored as a matter of course. And by the way, I think we heard another senator say that there were millions of removal orders that have not been effectuated. So would the Democrats agree with that? If they've already got a removal order, can we go and arrest those people too? If it's already been adjudicated, is that good enough for you? Of course it's not. They want jury trials for everybody because they know you're not going to do 20 million jury trials to deport illegal aliens. If and when absconders are eventually found, now you have to go track them down at great expense and great time. They still have to be detained to actually effectuate their removal. And now you've got Minnesotans who are blowing whistles in their ear, blowing out their eardrums, attacking them, trying to run them over with their cars and breaking their taillights out, spitting, hawking loogies on them with their disgusting saliva. Now, at this point in time, their lawyers will file a motion. They'll reopen their asylum claim, the friggin' lawyers who otherwise appeal the finding and then seek release again. It's again and again and again. It takes years. So the illegals can just stay here forever, drop out all their anchor babies who automatically get citizenship, continue to be counted in the apportionment during the census, continue to be a part of the federal budget every single year that doles out billions and trillions of dollars to the sanctuary cities. And then they we'll just appeal it now. And we'll just abuse your legal system that we don't give a crap about for our own benefits, and then turn around and lecture us as being un-American. Where's our due process? What about the citizens? Regardless, no removal of any alien anywhere can occur unless it is in a detained setting. If the alien has children, they are, by law, supposed to stay in a family residential center that costs more per night than a high-end hotel that we got to pay for, and includes full medical, dental, scholastic, and other services. It's like, man, there should just be a treadmill. I don't care what it is, a conveyor belt, just right across just put them on the conveyor belt, like those long people movers at the airport, all the way friggin' down to Guadalajara. Biden officials did not even bother with the pretext of performing these intake interviews. They didn't even ask anybody, well, what's your asylum claim? Who's going to kill you down there in Guatemala? Didn't even do interviews. The aliens were simply released on site, no questions asked, with court dates years away. Go have a million babies, vote Democrat. In the hope and expectation, but that by the time the fake asylum claims were adjudicated and rejected years later, Democrats would be able to scream that these illegals have lived here for years. They've been here for 20 years. They can't even speak English, but they've been here for so long, and they're children. They have babies now who are American citizens, so we must keep them here. They must be allowed to stay permanently. No one in the prior administration responsible for these decisions actually believed then or now this has anything to do with asylum. To them, it's just propaganda in service of infinite mass migration. Boom. Man, such a burner. Stephen Miller's on a whole nother level, and that's good stuff from him. Now, somebody was responding to him, and they said, yeah, that's exactly what these people are. Adrian and Liam Ramos are the living embodiment of everything Stephen Miller just described, times a million, times 10 million. They entered the U.S. in 2022 from Ecuador. Is there like a massive conflict down in Ecuador that everyone there needs to leave and we're responsible for everybody from Ecuador? Well, Ecuador sucks, says Jason Robertson. Shout out to J-Rob from MN. It sucks. I wouldn't want to live there. The residents don't qualify for asylum. There is no state prosecution there. If they were claiming that, they would have stopped at the next country, but instead they traveled past 8 of them. Ecuador, Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras, Guatemala, Mexico. Why? Why can't they stop there? Why do they have to come here? Well, it's obvious, because we'll give them everything that they want. What's wild is legally, they don't even count as illegal because their asylum claim is being investigated, right? So Joe Biden comes in, they accept them. Oh, it's asylee status. And so you're temporary while we adjudicate your claim. Go have 1 million babies. They technically won't even be illegal until it's heard and denied. And yet the Democrats and the government lawyers all waste endless energy supporting these people who shouldn't even be here at all. No basis for it. And now they're getting actual airplane rides and getting wings. Did your son or daughter get an opportunity to fly in the cockpit of an airplane? Maybe not. But this little illegal alien kid did. And, you know, it's like, yeah, nobody's illegal. Actually, yes, you are. You know, cute kid, innocent. He's not responsible for his scumbag parents and what they did. But these are privileges and benefits. Nice little private flights right back to his daddy and released back to Minnesota, courtesy of a federal judge. We'll read the order in a minute. Here's this little illegal alien baby getting his wings.
With exclusive video from ABC News of 5-year-old Liam Conejo Ramos in the cockpit getting his wings.
Wow.
On his flight back to Minneapolis. A federal judge ordering the boy and his father to be released from a detention center in Texas, where they were being held in an immigration case. We'll have much more on their return to Minnesota this afternoon.
Okay, can he fly that plane to Ecuador? Just program in there, Ecuador, autopilot, not Minnesota. He can just hang a U-turn, go the other direction, and get the hell out. So that is what happened. The judge issued this order. And here's what it looks like. This judge is a maniac. He's so mental that he actually included a picture of this little boy who his father abandoned. They tried to put this off as a hoax, like ICE was kidnapping this kid. Obviously, that did not happen. The father ran away like a coward who abandoned his child because he's an illegal alien invader from Ecuador who didn't even honor any negotiations with the federal government. So the judge signed off on this, and just to show you what an idiot this judge is, he signed this the 31st day of February, which is weird because I'm looking at the calendar right now and it says February 2nd. So is this judge from the future? And are there 31 days in February? I don't think so. So that's how sufficient and competent our judiciary is. And here's what this maniac judge wrote. And he is like 100 years old. Bill Malugin said, his name is Fred Beery. He's a Clinton appointee, has ordered the release of this kid, Liam, and dad. They were together at some, 5-star detention center. He includes a photo of the boy. February 31st doesn't even exist. He says there's no probable cause about something. Now, his LinkedIn also showed him liking a post today about millions protesting Trump's policies. So here's a LinkedIn post. Wow. Yeah, look at this judge. Millions across the U.S. spent their Saturday morning protesting Trump. It was here in Prescott, too. We totally missed it. We were watching Melania. All the libs were out, which was great, by the way. Highly recommend seeing that. If you're interested in Trump and behind the scenes access, Melania is amazing. We got to see inside Air Force One, all sorts of things. So millions across the U.S., he likes this. Judge likes it. Are protesting. Perfect. Great. Let me go finish my order. That's illiterate. And here's what he wrote. It's wild. He said, maybe one of the dumbest orders we've ever read on this show. Let's see. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a date that was from the future. We definitely have never read an order that came from the future. So that's a first here. He writes the following. All right, in this case of this 5-year-old kid and his illegal father, said before the court is the petition of asylum seeker, Adrian, and his 5-year-old son for protection of the great writ of habeas corpus. And again, I don't know who filed this, but they have like basically free law, free legal representation. We're going to look at another group here called the Acacia Center. This group right here, they got $1 billion to represent illegal aliens. Do you know who paid for that? We did. Joe Biden gave them $1 billion on his way out. So we're going to come back to that. But so they get lawyers. He says they seek nothing more than some modicum of due process and rule of law. By the way, it's like, are you dumb? They already were given an opportunity to go home. This case has its genesis in the ill-conceived and incompetently implemented government pursuit of daily deportation quotas, even if it requires traumatizing children, lunatic. This court and others regularly send undocumented people to prison and orders them deported, but we do so by proper legal procedures. Now, apparent also is the government's ignorance of an American historical document called the Declaration of Independence. So this maniac judge is going to lecture us about that. 33-year-old Thomas Jefferson enumerated grievances against a would-be authoritarian king. He said, he has sent swarms of officers to harass our people. Talking about the English. Well, in this case, we have swarms of illegals harassing our people. So we want a Declaration of Independence from the invasion of the Third Worlders. He has excited domestic insurrection among us, which is exactly what Tim Walz is doing, Judge, for quartering large bodies of armed troops among us, which are illegal aliens, all riddled around our societies. And man, if this ever turns hot, like if this turns into a race war, it's not going to be good. There's 2 million illegals in LA. So good luck out there. He has kept among us in times of peace standing armies without the consent of our legislatures, which, by the way, they call this an invasion. The Mexicans call this La Reconquista. Look it up. They call it Asylum. Look it up. They want to reclaim the territory that they say we stole from them back in the war with Mexico, the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. We, the people, are hearing echoes of that and the Fourth Amendment. And so now this judge is going to say that the Fourth Amendment is to be reinterpreted to protect illegals. Said administrative warrants issued by the executive branch do not pass probable cause muster, which is rich because of course it does. Has forever. Did he just invalidate administrative warrants across the whole country? That is called the fox guarding the hen house. The Constitution requires an independent judicial officer. So the entire immigration system is now invalid. Because the executive branch runs immigration, EOIR, Executive Office of Immigration Review, which is where it all starts under Article 2, not Article 3. It's been that way our whole lives. But this judge reversed it. So accordingly, the court finds that the Constitution trumps this administration's detention of this illegal and his son. And so I am granting release. Observing human behavior confirms that for some of us, the perfidious lust for unbridled power, which is the Democrats, literally. This judge is so dumb, he's being taken by a 5-year-old. Imposition of cruelty in its quest knows no bounds and are bereft of human decency, and the rule of law be damned. He's like lost it. Ultimately, petitioners may, because of this system, return to their home country, but it should occur in a more humane fashion. And this is rich. I get so tired of them throwing Ben Franklin's quotes back at us. A republic, madam, if you can keep it. Yeah, we got it. With a judicial finger in the constitutional dike. It is so ordered. Signed by Fred in the future, February 31st, lecturing us with Franklin. They're the ones who keep screaming about democracy. It's a republic, but they don't even know the difference between the two. So he gets released. He gets sent back to Minnesota. And of course, he gets his wings because he's better than all the other kids of America who don't get that opportunity. And so Kristi Noem said, this is just bait. It's a smear pushed by the media. His father abandoned him. They've lost hundreds of thousands of kids over their tenure, all missing, all trafficked, just forgotten about, gone with some illegal alien family somewhere in America. No one knows where they are, but they're going to throw a fit about an illegal alien father who ultimately abandoned his kid.
Let me be clear. These families always get the opportunity to stay together. This child has been with his father, which was the father's choice. We offered them the opportunity to go home, to send them back to their home country if they would like to. The father chose to stay, and therefore we're following the legal process. But it's shocking to me the media's lies about not just that story, but day after day after day about what we do for work in this country to bring people that are dangerous criminals to justice and then remove them from our country if they don't belong here, if they came here illegally. We have the opportunity every day for people who want to go home and are in this country illegally. We give you $2,600. We buy you a plane ticket and send you home right now. That's a voluntary program. We've had millions of people take advantage of that. That is something that we still want individuals to make the right decisions so they have the chance to come back to this country the right way.
Yeah, well, we don't really want them to come back at all. If they broke the law, they should never come back here. But at least it's a nice offer. And they're not even taking that. They'd rather just stay here because they know the Democrats will fight for them, give them free plane rides, and give their kids wings on the airplane. Now, here was another post. Remember, this was an old post back from 2024, but I was looking this up because Acacia Center is now back in the news. And Acacia Center is a center for justice. Wow. And they're in Washington, D.C. And guess how much money they got courtesy of Joe Biden in the final days of the administration? $1.1 billion. This is a slush fund literally for illegals. It's 3 years old. It was created out of thin air. Suddenly the government came in and dumped just a boatload of money right into them. And you can see the numbers down here. And now it's up to 1.1 billion. Current award, 815 million. And that's a lot of money. All right. Just think about what that would do for lawyers. How many lawyers does that buy? A lot. Now, Jim Jordan sent a letter to them, and here's what their website looks like. Collective Voices for Immigration Reform. What do we do? Let's see. Our program, empowering communities, supporting immigrants, illegals. Unlike criminal proceedings where you have a guaranteed right to a defense attorney, we need to use American taxpayer dollars to hire lawyers for illegals. Finding and securing an immigration attorney can be very expensive. They're not guaranteed lawyers, and the stakes are very high. They might have to go back to their countries and fix them instead of skim off ours. And so what they do is they create a publicly funded legal defense fund for immigrants to the tune of $1 billion. And have you ever needed a lawyer? Is the government paying for your lawyer? I doubt it, unless it's a criminal case and you're indigent. But if you have any other matter where you're not guaranteed an attorney, are they hiring one for you? Like, let's say you're going through a divorce, you want to form an LLC, or you have some other, civil matter. I need a lawyer. They won't pay for it because you're not an illegal alien. You're a citizen. So that kind of sucks for us. But to accomplish this, we work with partners, community organizers, legal experts, blah, 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 all for illegal aliens. They've got guides. They've got white papers. And I know we spent a lot of time last week talking about the insurgency, the individuals organizing, behind the scenes, kind of in their secret signal groups. But all this stuff is out in the open. These are illegal alien, in my opinion, fraudulent companies who are helping to facilitate violation of American law. And we're funding them continually. And it's pretty sick. So Jim Jordan sent a letter over there. He said, all right, Acacia, this is the Judiciary Committee speaking, saying, we now have questions about all that money you got. We're conducting oversight. And you know that the Biden-Harris administration created an unprecedented border crisis and released millions of illegals into our country. Once the illegal aliens are inside, organizations like Acacia, they provide them with social services and legal representation, largely funded by U.S. taxpayers to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars for illegals. We write to request information about your center and how you're ripping us off and the American taxpayer is suffering. Now, under a rule that came out from Joe, HHS increased the strain on American taxpayers. You remember that? That was that guy called, he's running now in California, Xavier Becerra. Increase the strain on American taxpayers by funding legal representation for unaccompanied alien children. That include assisting the children in obtaining immigration status, employment authorization, and other things. Now, as millions of taxpayer dollars went into organizations under this rule, then they lost track of 150,000 kids. Gone. Ugh. The Acacia Center for Justice is among those legal service providers funded by Biden and Harris. They even boasted in 2024 that they had served as the primary contractor for unaccompanied children. They provide legal counsel to aliens in various circumstances, including some adults, UACs in immigration proceedings at certain designated immigration courts, UACs in or released from ORR or other facilities. Now, illegal immigration serves as a windfall for two organizations like Acacia for Justice. According to your website, your goals are twofold. We just looked at them. To support immigrant legal services and defense networks to provide exceptional legal services to immigrants and to advocates, to expand these programs. And look at this, man. And they want to expand infrastructure critical to guaranteeing immigrants access to justice, fairness, and freedom. Why don't they go home to their own countries and build those things there? In other words, the center benefits financially from the flood of illegals into the country. This is what I was explaining earlier about these immigration law firms, all getting super rich due to the substantial amount of government contracts and other federal dollars they get. In fact, according to Public Info, the Acacia Center spent some portion of its budget, much of which derived from us, the taxpayer, to lobby Congress to go support programs that benefit illegals, including programs that they administer. So they use the money that we give them to go argue for more money and more programs to bring in more illegals. Among those programs is the Legal Access Services for the Reunited Families program, a program that was created by Biden and Harris that allows certain illegals to come into the U.S. with a grant of humanitarian parole, another stupid phrase like a claim against torture, refugee status, asylee. It's humanitarian parole. I don't care. I don't want it. Oh, you don't care about humanity? Not really. For up to 3 years and apply for a work permit, as well as counseling and other services, assistance with medical copays. Do you get free counselors paid for by the government? Do you get your copays paid for by the federal government? Do you get your housing support paid for by the federal government? Probably not. Now, accordingly, to assist the committee with its oversight, we asked for the following information, Acacia. I mean, these people should just be indicted. If we had a serious country, we'd round up people. The following data for the period of January 20th, the total amount of federal funding that you have received, as well as the percentage of funding that came from the federal government. All right. The total amount that you spent on strategic litigation advocacy. What is that for? It's like fraudulent. We give you the money for something, you do something else with it. The total amount the Acacia Center for Justice spent on lobbying Congress, the total number of individuals that you assisted through your Reunited Families programs, the total number of cases that you represented kids on, and it's not like, 5-year-olds, it's like 16, 17-year-olds, and employment authorization, and the total expenditures for them. The total number of cases where you sought access to certain lawful medical procedures that required consent of the parent. Wow. Please describe the nature of those cases. Don't disclose the identity of the kid. Are they transing the illegals? Please provide the total amount of expenditures. We also want to know the total number of people that you represented who attended all of their immigration court proceedings, right? So we pay you money to show up to court to represent these people. You keep the money. They don't show up to court. And you're not doing any legal work. We also want all documents that you have, the court appearance or attendance of UACs from your office, Acacia's strategic litigation advocacy lobbying, the Nome litigation, and the Miss L settlement. Please give all this information over to us as soon as possible, no later than a certain time. Signed, Jim Jordan, Chairman. And this is one organization of hundreds, maybe thousands that exist, that we're paying for, that are destroying our nation on the back of the American taxpayer to support illegal alien invaders so that they can continue to consolidate power. Byron Donald says we've had enough of this. We're going to continue to stand behind ICE. They're going to deport criminal illegal aliens. It should be all. But we're also going to protect the franchise of voting in the U.S. by requiring a voter ID. You need an ID to stay in a hotel, open a bank account, or anything else. You should have this when you go vote. And of course, the illegals are voting. They don't want to talk about that. But they are.
Not only are we going to stand behind ICE to continue to do their job of deporting criminal illegal aliens out of the United States, but we are also going to protect the franchise of voting in the United States of the American people by requiring that if you go to vote, you have to demonstrate a voter ID. You need an ID to go to stay in a hotel. You need an ID to open up a bank account. You need an ID to get on a plane. You should be able to show your ID when you go to vote. That's what Republicans should be standing for.
All right, let's.
Yeah, and someone is saying over here, Jumpin' Jeff, 54,000 maybe immigration organizations. Yeah. Many of which are getting federal dollars to facilitate the destruction of America. So the hoax, of course, continues on. 5-year-old boy reunited with his illegal alien father, who is actually here illegally from Ecuador. We have an unhinged federal judge making up dates in the future that don't even exist. February 31st, invented a calendar, along with a new understanding of legal precedent and administrative warrants. And so the Republicans are doing good work. They're sending some letters over, but we need impeachments. We need codified ending of sanctuary cities like John Kennedy was talking about. And we need to stop this humiliation of America for the benefit of illegal aliens. So we're going to keep our eye on this one. Thank you for subscribing and joining as we do. All right, one more update, my friends. And then it's time to hear from you. And this one's fun. Fulton County election officials are freaking out. You see, Senator Colton Moore, a state senator there, who's running for higher office, is explaining the tone down there in Fannyland. But we also got Mark Warner. He's a Democrat in the Senate, who sent this letter over to Tulsi Gabbard. We remember seeing her behind the scene there on the phone, watching, waiting, plotting, planning, and it has them freaked. So we'll come back to the letter, but let's get the tone for the environment, courtesy of Colton Moore. And man, he almost seems giddy as we are, that the Fulton County election officials finally have delivered the documents, involuntarily, mind you, to the feds for review, because we know 2020 was filled with fraud.
Democrats across the country, and especially here in Georgia, are absolutely panicking. They're freaking out. Well, why are they freaking out? Because we all know, and we have known for almost a half a decade now, that there's fraud in Fulton County. But it's just now, finally, with this U.S. Department of Justice, that we've been able to access these types of files. Remember, the same people who were in power, Brad Raffensperger and Governor Brian Kemp, when all of this went down back in 2020, they're still in power. So none of this information has ever been able to be released. And luckily, there were enough lawsuits, enough people that fought hard to protect this evidence, because typically this evidence was already supposed to be thrown in the trash. But there was enough lawsuits against it that it had to be preserved. And thank goodness the Department of Justice has their hands on it.
Nice.
Yeah, by the way, what do you make of the criticism about Democrats and liberals are like, why was Tulsi Gabbard down there exactly in Fulton County? What's your reaction to that?
Well, I mean, we have to think about this. She is the director of national intelligence, right? So she's in charge of the 14 different intelligence agencies across the United States. That's the NSA, the CIA. She's basically the bottleneck of all the intelligence in the United States. I think it was more than appropriate for her to be there, because we don't know who exactly is the one who's manipulating our elections in Atlanta, but it's very clear that they've been manipulated when we know that Georgia law itself has been broken. More than 300,000 ballots cast illegally, no three signatures there.
Crazy.
You know, but it's not just Fulton County, it's also Floyd County. I mean, Fonnie Willis charged President Trump with RICO, but the real RICO was stealing this election.
Woo! Nice. Okay, so that's Senator Colton Moore. And I think he's running for the House representative slot. And so make sure you're giving him a follow, because he has been keeping the pressure on Big Fanny for a long time. And he knows what to do with the sheep. So shout out to Colton Moore. Now, we also saw this letter came down from Mark Warner, and I share this just to show you how freaked out they are. Jim Himes, Mark Warner, the Committee on Intelligence. And of course, the Director of National Intelligence has the right and the power to combat foreign malign influence. Remember that phrase we heard a lot when they said Trump stole the election, which he didn't. But foreign malign influence might be appropriate to talk about now, because we've got Maduro's analog of a CIA director in custody who said that the election was rigged. Maybe that's why she's there. But here's what the Democrats sound like in their panic. They say, all right, Tulsi, we got a question for you, Tulsi. Dear Director Gabbard, we write regarding your participation in the execution of a search warrant, which was great, reportedly related to 2020, which Trump continues to claim that he won because he did. In the years since your confirmation as DNI, Mark Warner says, you have puzzlingly sought to dismantle elements of the intelligence community. Do you mean the same intelligence community that was facilitating the rigging of the election by feeding Joe Biden talking points that were written and drafted by the CIA? You know what we're talking about. Mike Morell, contractor with the CIA, former CIA director, met with Anthony Blinken, who became the Secretary of State, raced through the 51 laptop letter that said that Hunter Biden's laptop letter had all the hallmarks of Russian misinformation. CIA put a stamp on it. They wrote it in the building at the CIA. CIA contractors involved. They passed all of that intelligence to Anthony Blinken, gave it to Joe Biden. He used it at the debate. They passed it to the media. They propagandized the whole country. Joe Biden stole the election, appointed Anthony Blinken. Mike Morell came in, was deposed about this, and he literally said, because they're so flagrant about this, he wanted Joe Biden to win. That's why he did it. It's on the transcript. So that intelligence is not very smart, or they're corrupt. More likely the corrupt, because they knew that Hunter had all sorts of disgusting activities on his laptop. There's a whole book about it called the Marco Polo Report. Now, in the year since your confirmation, you're dismantling our corrupt intelligence community, rightfully so, because they're idiots and corrupt. This has included dismantling the Foreign Malign Influence Center, the product of bipartisan legislation in 2019. You declassified a range of classified materials associated with 2016. Shout out. Thankfully, she did that. Now we know a lot more. All in an apparent attempt to rewrite the well-established record by the special counsel investigation and by the Senate. You've paralyzed intelligence. I mean, this is like epic. Like Tulsi has them rattled. In parallel, Pam Bondi and Kash Patel have also dissolved the Foreign Influence Task Force, which was established under Trump's first term, all of which was perverted, and they lied about the Russians. So it is also deeply concerning that you participated in a domestic enforcement action. You should be focused on foreign threats, and, you know, foreign threats. What are the foreign threats to, Mark? What are they threatening? What's on the receiving end of the threat? Can you share that? Oh, America. That's right. The domestic homeland is the victim of the election attack. That's why she's there. Accordingly, we want you to appear and come explain what you've done. What was your reasoning for attending the FBI operation in Fulton? And what was your role in other IC persons' roles? What are your authorities for this? And we want an update about what you have concerning foreign interference in U.S. elections. That's the real one. That's what they really want. An update on any intel. Like, okay, what's your authority? Why were you there? And well, what'd you find? Like, was there anything in there? You know, just let us know. Including the election and subsequent election cycles. Given the politically fraught nature of this, we want a prompt update. So given you said you're going to be nonpartisan, so come in and talk to us. And hopefully she does. I think she'll mop the floor with both of them. Mark Warner, Jim Himes, very, very nervous out there. Colton Moore, I think, has it pegged. So here was a little bit more of Mark Warner. And he's saying he's dropping profanity now on his little videos out here. Here is what he sounds like. Very short little flavor.
We all know the Trump administration's strategy is throw as much shit on the wall and see what sticks. Well, the nation was still grieving ISIS rogues' actions.
All right, you get the point of it. So they're making videos. They're very nervous about this. And of course, questions are coming up. What ultimately went down there? We're getting some follow-up from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. They say, all right, here's the latest. We got 5 questions. What's going on? Saying, will there be criminal charges? Dun, 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 dun. Trump made a comment last week. He said investigators got a signed judge's order in Georgia, and you're going to see some interesting things happen. We're ready, Mr. President. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche won't answer whether he expects charges. He said, yeah, no, it's a criminal investigation, so I can't talk about it. But Atlanta says this election was perfect. So what about Tulsi? Why was she there? She would not speak to reporters. Wall Street Journal said she wants to hunt down proof of tampering in the election. When asked about her visit, Todd Blanche said, I don't know why she's there. She's not part of the grand jury investigation, but obviously she's for sure a key part of our efforts of election integrity, making sure that we have free and fair elections. Democrats are worried that Trump's going to take over the election. This is their new line. Trump is seizing the midterms by rooting out election fraud. How will mainstream Republicans respond? Brad Raffensperger's not a mainstream Republican. I think he's been pretty much thrown out of the party. He broke his silence. He's renewing a call for a national voting overhaul. Says, let's look at the future. And is this going to impact the midterms? John Ossoff is also freaking out. Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms said, no one cares here. I've not gotten a single question from a voter anywhere about election integrity. She says, I only get asked about affordability, not election integrity, because they steal the elections for their people. So why would their people be unhappy when they're stealing the election for their benefit? So here's more from Todd Blanche, and you can see the exchange here with Dana. Todd got asked, why was Tulsi Gabbard there?
Let me move on to Georgia. Earlier this week, the FBI went into the elections office in Fulton County, Georgia, to seize 2020 ballots, voter rolls, scanner images, and the president told reporters, quote, they got into the votes. You're going to see some interesting things happening. What interesting things is he talking about, and why was he so involved in an FBI and DOJ raid?
Well, just because he said that doesn't mean that he's involved. I don't believe he was involved. This is a criminal grand jury investigation, and I can't comment on it beyond what you just said, which is that there was a search warrant that was authorized by a federal judge, by a magistrate judge in Atlanta, that allowed us to go and seize those records, and they have been seized by the FBI as part of an ongoing criminal investigation.
He said interesting things are happening, so it sounds like he was briefed on it.
It is interesting. We can all see it.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not around when the president's briefed or not briefed. What I said is that this is a criminal investigation, so it's a tightly held, as it must be under the law. It's a grand jury investigation, and that's how we're proceeding.
What are they investigating?
As you know, we can't talk about specifics of any grand jury investigation. I will tell you, as I said on Friday,
rigged elections.
As the president has said, election integrity is of the highest importance to the American people, hopefully to everybody in this country, Democrats and Republicans alike. And so we are doing everything we can to make sure that we have free and fair elections.
Okay. And as you well know, that when it comes to Georgia, claims of voter fraud there, because they got the 2020 ballots, have been debunked over and over again. There were multiple recounts. Why was the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, present at an FBI raid?
First of all, it wasn't an FBI raid. It was a search warrant being executed by FBI agents in the middle of the day.
But why was she there?
And secondly, I don't.
Let him speak.
Secondly, I don't know why the director was there. She is not part of the grand jury investigation, but she is for sure a key part of our efforts at election integrity and making sure that we have free and fair elections. She's an expert in that space, and it's a big part of what she and her team look at every day. But beyond that, I don't. Like I said before, this is a grand jury investigation being conducted by a U.S. attorney, and that's where we have to leave it for now.
She didn't like that answer, and she's trying to dig at some conflict, but didn't get it. And Dan Bongino is back. Welcome back, Dan. Good to see him back on the air. And he had the president call in on his first show back, and Trump was talking about Fulton County. And here's what he said.
Nationalize the voting. And we have states that are so crooked, and they're counting votes. We have states that I won that show I didn't win. Now you're going to see something in Georgia, where they were able to get, with a court order, the ballots. You're going to see some interesting things come out. But, like the 2020 election, I won that election by so much. Everybody does it. They put a woman in jail, Colorado, put a woman in jail, a wonderful woman.
Tina Peters.
72 years old, had cancer. Because she was a voting inspector. She was in charge of a voting area. And she saw boxes of votes come in. So she went over to check it, and they put her in jail for voter manipulation. And she's still in jail. And they better let her out fast. And they're suffering a big price, Colorado. They have this woman in jail who's 71 years old and probably has cancer. She's sick. And they put her in because she challenged somebody that was dumping ballots into a box, okay? And they didn't put them in jail. This was during Biden's term. The worst president in history. And we had some bad ones. I mean, look, Barack Hussein Obama, I call him the Great Divider. Right. People couldn't stand him. You mentioned his name, they go crazy. They start booing the hell out of him. We had some really bad ones. I mean, Jimmy Carter wasn't exactly the greatest. Jimmy Carter didn't exactly have the hit on Venezuela that I had. Remember his...
All right, so Trump out there saying more will be coming on this. Fulton County seemingly freaked out. They're also talking about launching a lawsuit, although I saw there was a little bit of skepticism over what they would claim. This is a judge who issued a warrant. So are they going to go get an injunction or something? What are they going to sue about? We'll see, because then it would require another judge to basically invalidate the search warrant of the preceding judge. Not sure they're going to want to do that, but they're planning a lawsuit saying Commissioner Marvin Arrington said the lawsuit will challenge the legality of the warrant and the seizure of sensitive election records and force the government to return the ballots. So quash the warrant. Arrington said the country's attorneys or county attorneys, that's Fanny, good luck, to file a lawsuit in federal court in Georgia. FBI served a warrant. I've asked the county attorney to take all steps available to fight this criminal search warrant. Fannie Willis, she can't do anything. The search warrant, I believe, is not proper, but I think that there are ways that we can limit it. We want to ask for forensic accounting. We want the documents to stay in the state of Georgia under seal. We want to do whatever we can to protect voter information. Arrington said that the FBI had authorization to copy the records. Oh, they had a separate court order. He believes that they did not have proper permission to take physical custody of them. He says they got copies of our voter rolls and all the original ballots. Now we cannot verify that we've received everything back because there was no chain of custody inventory taken at the time the records were seized. So they're upset about no chain of custody? Your whole election was missing a chain of custody. Nobody was zeroing out the tapes. Nobody was verifying the final end day counts. FBI did not immediately respond to a request for comment about the anticipated Fulton County Fannie lawsuit. That should be rich. An FBI spokesperson said that the materials would be taken to Central Records Complex in Virginia. They're going to be nice and secured, and they can come look at them there. So we'll see what they do. I mean, there was a big battle over the records. Remember the classified documents case? Trump said the DOJ is corrupt. Cannon appointed a special master to handle attorney-client privilege. You could see something like that happening in some way, shape, or form. They just have to find the right Georgia district judge, and they'll do whatever they want because they think they're little presidents of the country in their judicial robes. But the battle continues. We're happy to see the panic in their eyes because they know what they did, and now they're getting caught. Shout out to the president and the administration for executing this plot or this investigation of the plot. We want actual free and fair elections. Hopefully we get them soon. All right, my friends, it's been a beautiful day. What a lovely Monday it is. If you're just joining us, quick recap on what we talked about. First of all, we went through the lawsuit. Minnesota sued the DOJ, said Operation Metro Surge needs to be thrown out of here. Said the 10th Amendment says you can't enforce immigration law. Well, a Biden judge came out and said that was pretty dumb. And actually, both of your claims are pretty dumb. You're not going to win a preliminary injunction. The government is allowed to do these things. And so your motion is denied. We had Keith Ellison and Jacob Frey all very upset about this, kind of whining. What's happening? Ron Johnson was out. You've got the Minnesota dorks who are trying to recreate a heroic scene, except in this case, they're doing it for a foreign country in their homeland. Meanwhile, we salute the real American heroes. Kennedy was here today. Trump came out. We got Noam was out. Then we talked about this little hoax of this 5-year-old illegal alien and his father who are now sent back to Minnesota because a maniac judge named this guy right here, decided that on February 31st, he got an order, a message from a parallel universe somewhere out there, far beyond the realm that we can understand. He is living in a new calendar. So he issued that ruling saying, return the person back, made up a bunch of claims about why administrative warrants are no longer valid under the Fourth Amendment. Total insanity. But we'll see what the DOJ does in response to that. We read through the order. It was ridiculous. This little kid got his wings. Kristi Noem was responding to this. We learn more about this organization called Acacia, which apparently got hundreds of millions, if not billions, in order to literally represent illegal aliens and provide housing and other things. Byron Donalds was here. And then we turned our attention to Fulton and Fannyland. Colton Moore was explaining that the Democrats are absolutely freaked out. We're happy to see it. They're planning a lawsuit, but we'll see what that lawsuit entails, whether it's got any juice to it. Democrats on the Intelligence Committee also sending letters to Tulsi. We want answers. What'd you find? Mark Warner dropping profanity when that's what they do when they have nothing else to say. And then we heard from Todd Blanche and the president himself. And it's been a beautiful stream, my friends. Thank you for being here. Thanks for subscribing to our channel. And thank you for joining us tomorrow, because we're going to come back here. And it's going to be a beautiful stream. But now, let's hear from you, and let's see what you say about all of this on the day. I saw some great donos. Thank you for supporting our work. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching the show, leaving a comment, making some friends, and all of the things. Oh, yeah, I wanted to start this off with a super chat that came in on another channel, which is this is a new feature for us. But I was listening to Viva and Barnes last night, and someone sent in a very nice super chat. Let me see if I can find this out here. Where was this one? Yeah, I'll try to find this. It's near the end. And all right, I'm going to keep searching for this. Actually, let me do it this way. I apologize. I thought I had this queued up. Let's see. Babylon 5. It's over on Viva. Okay, so let me just play this while I'm looking for this, and maybe it'll come up.
Through Congress. I heard about the one up in Canada. My cousin Griffin McGrath, Madison, Wisconsin, lost his life in 2018 at 13. That's terrible. I mean, let me just screenshot that. I'm going to see if I can find the story. It's, you know, and kids doing stupid things. They just have no concept of consequences, and then it's trending, and they want to be funny. Robert, did you see the woman in?
All right, I can't find it. I'm going to try to find it, but they had a super chat that came in yesterday, and shout out to Viva and Barnes, man. They do a good show. And let's see, maybe it was this one. Yes.
Pete, there are certain people who need to
up. Okay, here it was.
Of ICE
super chat from Viva.
Letting some people go. He dated his order February 31st, 2026. Judge Beery apparently doesn't know there aren't 31 days in the month of February in any year.
He must have been relying on AI for that. Robert, let me pull up a few here on Rumble. If you have the financial means, send out some beautiful financial love to Robert Gouveia on the announcement that his wife is expecting.
Hey,
very nice.
Great. That's
great.
Fantastic.
Pete, there are certain people who need to procreate.
Congrats to him on the wife too. To be honest with you, he did well.
That's true.
As we say, the non-perverted way, Robert, is they're going to have good-looking children, or maybe that's even more perverted. I don't know. All right. Crash Bandit says, I love Viva Barnes and Gouveia, but man, I hate attorneys. Two things can be true at the same time.
Yes,
I hate attorneys. Robert hates attorneys.
Yeah, exactly.
So do I. So we're all in good company there. So, hey, I just wanted to shout out Maydog. Thank you for that, Dono. Maydog over to Viva and Barnes. And Crash Bandit, man, we love you back. So shout out to our friends over there. And it was fun. I was listening to it live. I was doing dishes last night, and then Viva pulled up that super chat, and I'm like, huh? That's us. Hey, that's us. So shout out to Viva. Thank you, Robert and Viva. And thank you to Maydog and Crash Bandit for shouting us out over there on the show. Super fun. We appreciate you guys. So thank you guys. Yeah. So, and if you missed it on Saturday, we have a new baby in the house right there. You can see it. And we don't know what it is yet, but coming soon. July 2026, this year, which is really soon. I said 2026 like maybe it was going to be 27, but no, it's going to be this year. So thanks to Viva and Barnes. And my friends, thanks for subscribing over to them and watching their channel as well. Oh, here you go. All right, so this is the sign that they were putting up. You can see they're hoisting a flag of their people. They want everyone to know who they are and how they think and what they stand for. So they're hoisting their flag up there now. And you can read what it says. Here. Hey, Hoofer, I'm pretty sure Fred Flintstone drove past my house today. Oh, does look like Fred. Yeah, because you put your feet in there and you push the car with your feet, right? So shout out. Hey, there are some who call him Tim. There are some who call me Tim. Tim Jake, what's up, Tim? Thank you for both of these. Oh, I saw this story. I wanted to mention this story. Maybe we'll hit it in the stream tomorrow morning. Membos tomorrow. Tim Jake, last week, a New York jury awarded a $2 million in a malpractice case over a gender transition surgery on a 16-year-old girl. I saw the headline on that. Didn't read the lawsuit. Mom said she felt pressured into the procedure to avoid the risk of self-deletion. That's what they say. Well, would you rather have a boy or would you rather have a dead girl? Which one? You're like, Jesus. Sorry, Lord. You're like, good Lord. That's a lot. I guess I want a dead, a live boy. I'm like, perfect. We're going to put a penis on her now. Tim Jake says their lawyers argued the doctors overlooked coexisting issues like anxiety, depression, family dynamics before causing pain, suffering, and mental anguish of a permanent nature. Yeah, and they get rich off of it. They make a lot of money. It's a permanent client. And what they do, man, like if you look into this, I was explaining this to somebody very close to me. Like, why are you so mean to the trans? I'm like, do you know what they do to the kids? Like, do you know what they do? Well, what do you mean? Like, like pills or something? Like, no, do you understand what they do when they chop it off or when they add it on? Do you have any idea? Like they take the muscle and the flesh off the thing and put it into a little cylinder and like, what? By the end of the conversation, they're like, oh, they're like more, a bigger bigot than me. Welcome to the club. Hey, welcome. Sev Russ bringing in 5 new membos. Good to see you, Sev Russ. Welcome, new friends. And thanks, Sev, for bringing them in here. We got Rylan Nader in the house. Rylan Nader in the house. What's going on? Millennial Daddy, welcome. Stephen Norman. We got Hack Dog is here. Pam Smith, Catherine Warner. Walter saying hello. Mr. Null says, roll tape. We're on it. Thank you, Mr. Null. Hey, World Radio, 3 months as a membo, says, strong start, Robert. Keep slamming these legal bangers, man. Thank you for that, World Radio. I thought it was we had some pretty decent stories today. Things were a little bit quiet. Like Trump had an Oval Office meeting. Congress was mostly gone. The Clintons were supposed to be moving the vote on contempt out of the Rules Committee today. So we'll follow up on that tomorrow morning. Thank you, World Radio. We're going to have a jamming week. We got elections coming up. We got a lot of election litigation stuff coming up, which is always spicy because it's like the rules of the game. Hey, Mablers in the house. What's up, Mablers? Welcome aboard. Members, we just had a great members-only stream this morning. We talked about Clintons and contempt and the Epstein stuff. Yeah. Mablers, good to see you. Hey, Wuxia Games Central says, I love Kennedy. He always comes up with bangers like, you might not be the dumbest person in the world, but you better hope they don't die. That's good, man. You're not the dumbest person in the world, but you better hope that person doesn't die because you're on deck. Hey, NY, I can't believe lawyers put this on paper. In their mind, they justify law breaking, aka sanctuary cities, as just a policy choice and not complete law breaking. That's exactly right. They just don't like the laws, and so they just don't follow them. And when you say, why aren't you following the laws? They say, because I'm a good person and I care about the humanitarian well-being of illegal aliens, and you don't. Well, the law says you can't. Well, we don't care. We don't like the laws. And why? They justified it during Biden and Obama with prosecutorial discretion. There is no prosecutorial discretion. Immigration has been stripped from Article 3 courts, but they keep going back to them for more immigration remedies. Exactly right. That's exactly right. Rob NY says, Rob, I think you're off on that. They have roving gangs that are pulling over citizens to check them out. This is acceptable. It's an out and out takeover. I wish I knew what you were referring to, because I agree with what you're saying. We played a video of that last week. They pulled over a citizen last week. We played a 4-minute video. They're screaming at her. They're like, "You're ICE." Like, "Get out." She's like, "I'm not ICE. I just got here from the airport. I'm a journalist." They're like, "Well, we don't want you here." Tracking everyone's IDs. So, but I'm probably still off on something. So you're right about that. Rick D. NASA is approximately 2/3 of the way through the wet dress rehearsal for the Artemis 2 launch. Humans are once again heading for the moon. This is a moon mission? What? Launch is currently scheduled for February 8th at 11:20 Eastern, which will be 9:20 our time. So February 8th, we'll probably cover that live, baby, on our members only stream. Shout out. We're going to the moon? That's pretty cool. Thank you, Rick D. I don't think you can skydive from the moon, though. Sharon Hatt, sanctuary cities should be renamed anarchist cities. Yeah, and that's another thesis, too. You kind of just turn all the sanctuary cities like into Escape from LA. Just put a giant wall around there. No more federal dollars. Good luck. And you just, worry about other things. Don't. For the child's and everyone's safety, DNA should be checked for a match, and child trafficking might enter the question. What about cutting the kid in two? Yeah, wasn't there that old parable or whatever? Where the king, somebody brings the child to the king, and two people are fighting over the child, and he says, "I know what to do. Cut that baby in half." And one mother says, "That works for me. That sounds good." And the other mother says, "No, I can't take it. Give her the child." And the wise king says, "Now I know who the real mother is. You are awarded the child." King Solomon, yeah. Thank you for the heads up on that. It was a child, right? Yeah. Yeah, it's a good story. It's a good story. A lot of wisdom there. Oh gosh, that looks like it's a Monty Python gif. Wait a minute, that rabbit attacks and kills everyone? That happens in the Monty Python? That's pretty cool, actually. I didn't know that, but I'm still never going to watch it. One old guy. Hey, conejo means rabbit, and he ran just like one. Conejo. It means rabbit, I guess. Yeah. King Solomon. Yeah, it was a baby, right? Yeah, it's a good story. Yeah. So that's a reference to. Don't. Good wisdom here today. Hey, conejo equals rabbit. Loodle Miss. Welcome aboard, Loodle Miss. Very nice to meet you. Welcome to our channel. And we'll see you in the morning stream tomorrow. Members only morning stream, 11 a.m. Eastern time, 9 a.m. Arizona. And we'll see you over there. Hey, Dark Rogue. Yeah, this is why I get upset over judges and politicians that lie about due process for illegal immigrants. It's either malicious misinformation designed to divide the country, or it's a disqualification for the position they hold. Yeah, it's a great comment. And yeah, it's probably both. I think there are a lot of smart people who know what due process means. They know illegals got due process. There's like millions that have already literally had all the due process they're entitled to. They just didn't show up to court. They didn't self-deport. They didn't leave. So can we go after them? How about a compromise with the Democratic Party? What happens if they've already been adjudicated removable? Can we go get those people? Will you help us with them? No, they won't. So they just lie. They say you're kidnapping kids, you're whipping Haitian migrants, you're, murdering people on the streets. It's a scam. Dark Rogue, thank you for the nice dono. And for some reason, they almost, they're all part of the same club. So when they speak that language, nobody challenges each other on that language. But yeah, it'd be a great question. I think a lot of these journalists, the news anchors too, could get a nice lesson on due process, and then they could stop asking such dumb questions. King of Biltong. What a nice dono. Super generous. Thank you, King. What a nice dono. Says, congratulations on the Mrs. Expecting. All the best for you guys. Thank you, King of Biltong. You guys know where to go to get your Biltong. Biltong USA, baby. So check it out. King of Biltong. Great to see you, King. Thanks for the dono. And thanks for always coming by. And use promo code Robert. It's kingofbiltong.com. And when you go over there and you use promo code Robert, you're going to get a little bit of a discount. And man, look at this deliciousness over here. Get your meats, baby. Get your meats, BiltongUSA.com. Thank you, Biltong. Very nice of you to send that in. We're excited. Coming soon, July. We're going to have a physical baby in the house, I know. Chubby, hey, do you think I can ask for refugee status in the U.S.? Because I live in California, and with all the illegal immigration, I am in a minority and under attack for my politics. I'd like some of this free money and resources as well as immunity to the laws of this country. Unfortunately, Chubby, you're a white citizen, okay? So no. Stop your complaining. Go write a big fat check to the IRS because illegal aliens need to eat, okay? Thank you for being here. Dark Rogue, imagine all that money lost instead, paid into states' infrastructures and programs meant to help the less fortunate, like veterans and homeless. Yeah, do you know what you could do with $1 billion? What if we took all of this money and started building roads and started building nuclear power plants so we all had less expensive electricity, which is going to continue to go up? What if we, helped create strong domestic programs for American citizens rather than spending $1 billion on illegal alien lawyers? That's what a real country would do. And we would have, all of our lives would be much, much better if we had that process already in place, but we don't. We're just hollowing it out because the Democrats want to see our country destroyed so that they can rebuild it in their image. One old guy. Do you know that this judge has Biden Alzheimer's syndrome? Association of Community Organizations for Reform Now, ACORN, funded it. Obama was their poster child. Yeah, Obama was just another, puppet installed as part of the entire operation. And he was a terrible president. Thank you, one old guy. What did he accomplish? Basically nothing. Sean of Thyme, 9 months, that's a baby. And now that we're pregnant, I started to realize that 9 months goes really, really fast because July is going to be here soon. Future, it was a non-existent day. Yeah, that's right. It was a future non-existent day. So it's it is in the future, but it's in a different parallel universe, in a different dimension. It's in the fourth dimension where February has 31 days. Hey, thank you for donating. Sayburns Jax in the house. Hey, Replay Crew is here. Just stopping by to say congrats on the baby G. Thank you, Sayburns. Good to see you. Thank you for the nice dono. Thanks for stopping by on Locals to say hello. Oh, I know, it's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. We did a full stream on that on Saturday. So Alexis came down and we did a debrief on that. Mom came down. Joey came down. So if you missed that, it was fun. It was fun. It was a good time. Deluxe Night. Hey, there's another Monty Python gif. You fight with the strength of something. By the time I watch all these GIFs, I'll basically have watched the film. Oh, he's riding a horse. Yeah. Hey, Deluxe Night. Okay, on top of this future date, February 31st, it doesn't exist. There are 28 days and 29 days in a leap year. Unless they're going to redesign the entire calendar, which he may have, which there would be 13 months with exactly 30 days in each. How does that math? So 31 wouldn't exist. Also, congratulations on your 9-month and beyond adventure. Deluxe Night, man, I have to figure that out. That's our farmer in the house. Good to see you back here, Deluxe. We could do 13 months with 30 days exactly, and that would work out. That's pretty interesting. Thank you, Deluxe Night. Good to see you. Thanks for growing our food. And KC. Wow, KC Cat says, we can never agree to mass amnesty again. It was done once by Obama for the Dreamers. Dems are counting on it. Yeah, Reagan did it, basically. We had a deal. We're going to fix immigration once and for all. Mass amnesty for the people who were here. And then look what happened. Did that solve the problem? No, they're just like, oh, perfect. Those morons did that. So we can do it again and turn every state into California. One old guy says, they can ask for a lawyer in the immigration court. There is a defense lawyer there. D. Ike loves to have digits in them to make it. All right. Thank you for that one old guy's opinion. Yeah. Very nice comment. He said constitutional dike, which means a barrier of water, among other things. I think he was talking about a barrier of water that sprung a leak. So he's putting his finger in the hole of the dike to stop the water from coming out. All right. Hey, Deluxe Knight, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I like my mail-out ballot for research purposes so people may not get blindsided for local things at the ballot box. 100% believe that a person must return the ballot in person with ID. They cannot mail it back in 100%. So that's interesting, Deluxe Knight. Have you seen, I don't know where you're at or where you vote, but in Arizona, they'll send us like these packets before the election. And the packet will say, these are the issues. These are the statements for the ballot measures. These are the candidates' personal statements. So you get all that early. So in other words, I think you could, like, let's say there was no mail-in balloting, right? You could get that early, mark all your votes, take that in with you, drop your votes. But I understand there is a lot of convenience with mail-in balloting. People don't want to go and be perturbed to vote. But we should go vote. We should go vote in person. We have self-governance. That means we have to self-govern. We have to stay connected with these things, or otherwise we're just slaves, really. If you don't, and this is what bothers me about the people who don't want to engage in politics. Like, it's, politics is very toxic for me. Okay, so other people are going to govern you for you? So you're just a slave then? Yeah, go watch some more football. Cool. Hey, what's going on? Man, these are real babies. Man, babies are getting advanced these days. I can't even believe it. Man, shout out to those babies out there. Getting down on it. Hey, Mr. Dolphin, 36 months as a member. That's multiple babies, 3 full years. Mr. Dolphin. Man, we've been through some stuff together. We survived the Biden years together. So thanks for being here, Mr. Dolphin, for so long and supporting our work all this time. Mock Schnell, good to see you, Mock Schnell. 20 new friends coming in. Grab the stream from this morning, members, and we'll see you back tomorrow morning. Rat Tato Skier. Welcome. John Smoot, Darla Dean, we got Don Stout, Ryan Cheek. What's up? Gun Klingen Palin. Welcome. Paula, Sassy Tech is here. Pero Creations. Welcome. Awesomer Possum here. Moonstein, Liz Blue, and Demon J, along with Scooter, Whitewashing Nation, Doc Whiskey, M. Weaver. We got Dahozo Bick, Misfit News, welcome, and Desert Pirate, all gifted membos courtesy of Mock Chanel. Thank you, Mock Chanel, for doing that. And welcome, new friends. Good to see you. Hey, what's going on? All right, so this one came in from Deluxe Knight, says, they did take Maduro alive and have him in custody. Makes one wonder if he's singing like a canary in a coal mine, which would be precisely why Tulsi Gabbard was at the FBI seizure of the files event. Yeah, and Maduro in Venezuela, we also have in custody his CIA, whatever they call it, director of intelligence down there. I think it's that. He's in custody. And he wrote a big fat letter that said, yeah, Venezuela is rigging elections, essentially. We read it here. So then they bring in Maduro, and they got him. Maduro's going to want to get out, so he starts spilling the guts. Then they raid Fulton. Like, the timeline matches. Thank you, Deluxe Knight. One old guy. As you know, are typical BS propaganda words. Yeah, they definitely can be. I could see them as being a signpost. As you know, we've already talked about this. Oh, yeah, okay, I do know that. Yeah, we did talk about that. But also, it's like setting a false premise. It's setting the table for you, not setting the table for an open conversation. As you know, the Trump administration is kidnapping people off the streets. And so as Democrats, what we need to do is talk about a solution to this. And what is the solution? Well, we think Homeland funding and blah. They go, well, no, we don't know that they're kidnapping people. So don't establish that false premise and then make us eat it. Jerk, get out of here. So thank you for that. Hey, who's this person over here? Jack Mack. What's up, Jack? January 5, 2021, the Georgia runoff election was absolutely fraudulent. We remember. Ossoff and Warnock, they both benefited from all the Georgia fraud. J6 was the next day. Dems compromised all ethical obligations to retain power in the House. Tulsi has folks rattled. Jack Mack, great to see you. Yeah, and I didn't remember that, actually. So those elections were the day before J6. And then nobody was talking about them ever again. So we had the water main break, the stolen election, J6, 2 Democrats installed. Everybody mad at the Republicans. Yep, that's a big one. That's why Ossoff is probably so dang nervous about this. Like, how come Tulsi's there? Thank you for that, Jack. Good to see you again. Hey, Elk Plow, I'm 3rd generation immigrant. We came here legally. Those that don't need to go. Yeah, it's the law. It's not you're being a bad person or you're being mean. It's we have a nation to run. We have to run it well. And if we have 20 million additional people, we cannot do that. Thank you, KC, for this one. KC, what's up? Man, nice donuts today. Thank you, everybody. A Fulton County judge just released a whole docket of jail inmates last week. Did I see the headline on this one? They never had a PC hearing nor any supporting info provided. Both misdemeanors and felons. He said he had no choice. Jail and the cops screwed up. Wow, that's crazy. I didn't see that story, Casey Cat. So Fulton and their cops couldn't even... Were they all related? Was like a big... I got to look it up. Yeah, that's curious. And I think I just saw... I think I bookmarked this. Let me grab this. I think I saw Trisha from Ohio who was just explaining... Oh, it's Virginia. Yeah, Virginia. Virginia's wild what's going on there. I thought this may have been Georgia, but it's not. Listen to this.
Because we had a great partnership with Glenn Youngkin and his team on the ground there to make sure that when these criminal illegal aliens who are in the jails, in their custody, once they serve their time, that we are notified and they can be turned over to ICE to be released back into their own country. But Kaylee, I want to give you one example, and your viewers one example of a direct response to this. There is an illegal alien that we arrested from El Salvador in September of last year. He was arrested for strangling with an electric cord his 8-month-old sister.
Oh my goodness.
She was killed because of the policies, because of these new sanctuary city policies out of Virginia. Once this individual serves his time, he will go back onto Virginia's streets because we're not allowed to be notified. That is absolutely heinous, and Virginians are going to be a lot less safe because of this policy.
Wow. Okay, so an illegal who strangles his baby, he'll serve his time there, and then he'll be free to go, and ICE won't be notified. So I thought that that may have had some connection to what you were saying, Casey Cat, in Georgia. A little different. This sounds like incompetence. I mean, why are you arresting? Like, if you're a cop, why are you arresting somebody and you can't even complete an affidavit or a criminal complaint that has PC in it? And Fannie is dropping the ball. Makes sense. Hey, congrats on your new tax deduction. Hey, I forgot about that. That's great. That is great. Yeah, what a little cherry on top, little fella. Looking forward to it. Maybe that's a good middle name. Little, blank tax deduction Gouveia. Nice. Jack Mack, I hope your baby is born on July 21, because that's my birthday too. Congrats, Rob and Alexis. Thank you, Jack Mack. Yeah, I know I think Alexis's dad is around there too. And so we're kind of playing around with dates to see where the baby's going to go. But Jack, man, that's a good birthday. Happy birthday. You'll be spiritually aligned, birthday aligned. Thank you, Jack Mack. And thanks for the congrats. We really appreciate it. Hey, congrats from Marana, Arizona. Man, shout out on the way to Tucson. My youngest was born July 5th. Man, that's awesome. My mama's birthday is July 4th. So you got that in common. Can we send gifts to the office, or do you have a preferred P.O. box? Amazon registry requested, please. Thank you so much for that, Artisan Shrew. What a nice comment. So we're probably moving to DC soon, probably March, like end of or middle of March. So sending things here, it may not be a good idea, because in other words, we may not get them if we move. So we'll work on a registry. Thank you so much, even Artisan Shrew. Thank you for even thinking about that. We really appreciate that. And we'll definitely do that, because we got to get all the baby gear, Mary Paquette. Hey, congratulations on your new baby. Coming soon. I know. Thank you, Mary. 32 months as a membo. That's like 3.5 babies, I think. Pretty sure. Amazing. Thank you, Mary Paquette. Thank you for being a membo. Thank you for being here 32 years. That's a long time. Long time. We've been through some stuff together. Thank you very much, Mary. Rick, Rob, that launch time was 11:20 p.m. Oh, I thought it was a.m. As in 40 minutes before midnight. Also, the 8th is the Super Bowl. No doubt you will be doing a members only stream. So doubt you will be doing a members only stream. Oh, all right. Well, I didn't know much about what was going on. Thank you for the clarity. Okay, so scratch that. Not a good idea. 11:20. That's late. I'm in bed by then. Hey, what is it you want? Is this another? What is it you want? What's this one? Robert G, you must watch. You must. See, this is what happens. You must watch Monty Python. I think that is even a picture from a guy in Monty Python. You'll be a better person for it. Well, at this moment, I'm already the person that I am without watching it. And becoming a better person is a really scary endeavor. So I have to think about it, but probably not going to watch it. And Monkey, you're probably maybe new here, but this comment is exactly the reason why I will never, ever watch Monty Python. And I say that with all the love in the world to you. It's because I must that I shan't ever. So this one, Patty, what's up? Just another Patty. Hey, congrats on expecting. Thank you, Patty. Yeah, we're excited about it, and it gets bigger like every day. It's like, oh my goodness. And then you go to the doctor and they play the heartbeat for you. Almost jumped out of my chair. The heck is that? What does that sound? One old guy. You know this case is going to appeal with Rabbit Case and his little rabbit son. Oh, the kid with the hat on. District court judges have been getting their butts spanked. District judge is called Conejo Pendejo. Elk Plow. I'll help. We, Fulton County, don't want someone to actually see what we did. Yeah, that's right. And as soon as that raid happened, they were all outside standing around the election center, outraged about it. Very nervous. You could see it in their faces. They looked white as a ghost, and they're not white. Jennifer, what's up? Good to see you. Hey, man, that was the old space shuttle, right? Look at that thing. Good times. Hey, B-Job Secure, what's up? Gifted a membo. Hey, no, B-Job Secure gifted a membo out to Dumbbeard. Welcome. Good to see you. Thank you, B-Job. Thanks for the dono. Thanks for watching on Rumble, Dumbbeard. Good to see you over there. LZ says, okay, Rob, we'll pay you to watch Monty Python. You'll pay me like I'm a cheap hooker or something? Is that what you're thinking? The Challenger? Is that what it was? Didn't Winston Churchill say something like, you're a prostitute? And she said, no, I'm not. Or something. What was that phrase? And he's like, well, how much? Now we're just haggling over price. What was that? There's some truth to that, you know? Thank you, LZ. Thank you, LZ. Hey, what's going on? Another Monty. I've seen it now. Basically, I've seen the whole movie today. You can get your baby a Trump account. Definitely. Yeah, we talked about that. Gonna load that puppy up. Yeah, John, he's basically calling you a prostitute. Right? And Winston Churchill said the same thing. It's like, well, you're only haggling about price. Something like that. It was a pretty good line. One old guy. Hey, picture is from The Princess Bride, who is Fazzini. From One Old Guy. Was that? Yeah, that was the gentleman who was and I don't mean to be mean when I say I'll never watch it, because I like these comments come from a good heart, a good place. Maybe I would be a better person. The problem is I'm just stubborn, all right, and just obnoxious. And my whole life, everyone's like, you have to watch it. I'm like, I'm not going to. Like, you have to. You must. Like, don't you ever tell me what to do. Otherwise, I'm not going to do it. If you do, I'm definitely not going to do it. That's, you know, it's kind of a... it's just, I am the way I am, you know. I can't help it. Maybe someone can help. All right, my friends, those are great comments. Thank you for showing me the entire Monty Python movie today. We're good. We got it. We got it covered. It's all done. Let's see who's on X, and then we'll wrap it up on the day. What a beautiful stream it has been. Thanks for the fun. We've got a couple of comments over on X. This one from NeuroD. What's going on, NeuroD? And here says, join the watchers over on Locals for morning Membo streams and the best memes on the interwebs over there. And Retired Dave says, Fulton County Attorney is different than Fannie as the district attorney's office. Are you saying Fannie Willis is not the Fulton County Attorney? That's somebody else? Fulton County Attorney. Fannie's the DA of Fulton County, right? Or are they different offices? Anyways, all right. So thank you, Retired Dave, for the comment over on X. We appreciate that. I'll look that up later. Chubby says you don't have to watch Monty Python, but honestly, I think you'd enjoy it. Granted, I'm 51, quite a bit older than you, and I first watched it in 1991 while in high school, but it has left a mark on my pop culture knowledge and references. Am I a better person from watching it? Probably not, but it is a classic and quite enjoyable experience to me. Well, that's a very reasoned approach, Chubby. You know, if I had been approached as a young man with a comment like that, maybe I would have watched it. But unfortunately, I was berated in my head by people screaming at me, watch this or else. So now the damage is done. Mr. Magic Man, Benny Johnson released a video last week with an ex-post in it regarding a sworn deposition from Eric Coomer, the Dominion guy, on 1/27/26. 2 days after that depo, Fulton County's ballots were taken. Is it Coomer versus Byrne? Interesting, Mr. Magic Man. Yeah, the Dominion guy, and was it Dominion that got bought by the other company, like Vote something in Missouri? Yeah, and then the Missouri AG also sued for over the census. Yeah, this is another good tactic too. Just call me dumb, also smart. Call me a prostitute or an idiot. That'll get me to do it. Rob isn't smart enough to understand the Holy Grail. It's like reverse psychology. Actually, I don't want you to watch it because you're so dumb. But his newborn will have to explain it to him. Well, based on that comment, our child will never also watch it either, ever. So it's now a household rule. One old guy, you know this is going to appeal with Rabbit Case and his little rabbit son. District court judges have been getting we got that one. And Rob, at least see this one Monty Python YouTube. All right, we gotta wrap this up. Monty Python, funniest joke in the world from Monty Python on YouTube. Man, it's like an onslaught. All the holy grailers are out there today. It's like a brutal attack from the Monty Pythoners. It's like abuse over here. All right, just kidding. I'm having fun. I appreciate you guys. And hopefully you understand I refuse with love. And because it's annoying to you. You know? Hey, one old guy. When I was in high school, the dark joke about the Challenger incident was, man, those are dark jokes, man, about the Challenger. Oh, gosh, one old guy. Where do you come up with this stuff? John says, watch it and then eat an entire rhubarb pie. And then I'll be dead. Then I'll be dead. Yeah, the rhubarb will kill me, and Monty Python will cause a short circuit or aneurysm in the brain, probably. So, all right, it's good stuff. All right, you know, oh, gosh. You guys are persistent. I appreciate that. Maybe one day it'll happen. I can't give in. I can't give in. Don't do it. Don't do it, Rob. All right. So, friends, it's been a beautiful day. Let's take a look at some locals comments, and then we'll call it an afternoon. We'll be back tomorrow to get into it again. We got a couple of comments over here. Bonnie, what's up, Bonnie? Says Judge Menendez spent nearly 20 years with the Office of the Federal Defender in Minnesota. She rose to become chief of training. Sounds like she knows the law from a public defender's perspective. That's interesting. Yeah, so you looked up the judge who just ruled against the Minnesotans, Keith Ellison. Representing petitioner Samuel Johnson, Supreme Court ruled in her favor. Wow, 8-1. She spearheaded her office's efforts to review every case in the district. She sounded much more intelligent than some of the other judges that we read. She was a very thorough, very reasoned opinion and the right decision. So she sounded a little different than like Judge Schlitz, who writes a ranting screed after donating to illegal aliens. So thank you, Bonnie, for that. Good comment. And Nathan. Yeah, Nathan, what's up, Nathan? Thank you for this. On the show today, there was talk of asylees and issues with them. Perhaps worth mentioning would be the third country rule like Europe uses. The safe third country rule, often utilized within the EU asylum procedures, allows member states to reject asylum applications as inadmissible if they transited through a non-safe, non-EU country where they could have claimed protection there. Updated rules enable this based on a connection, transit, or agreement with the third country, aiming to reduce secondary movements. Yeah, like if you're going to die, don't you just like land in the closest possible spot? No, they want to come to America because we're going to give them free housing, free education, free healthcare, free food, free cell phones, and all of the things. King Solomon. Sadie, thank you for that. Do I oppose all British humor? That's a good question. I've never seen The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy either. I'm less opposed to that, but probably won't watch that one either. Is it all British? Do I just not like all? Am I anti-British? Wow. Wow, that's pretty shocking news today. Interesting to learn that about myself. Well, I like The Office, but that was in America. It started over there and then it came over here. Any other? What British humor do I like? I'll have to think about that. All right, my friends, it's been a beautiful stream. Thank you for being here and joining us. Oh, finally. What a great way to end the show. Bonnie says, Rob, I have never watched Monty Python and I never wanted to. So I have your back. Nailed it. Thank you, Bonnie. Hey, what's going on from Deluxe Night? Kind of laughing in my head about this thought. Could have a members only stream and make all watch the Monty Python with you just to share the pain that you'll be feeling. I'll probably like it. I mean, if you guys like it, I'll probably like it. Like, that's not what I'm saying. It's just, I'm a stubborn person. And it's like, we've anchored this in here for so long. Now I got to reverse. Like you'd be like devastated. Be like, Rob, how could you do this to us? Hey, watch your chat. I say we all split up the script to the Holy Grail in the chats. Everyone takes a paragraph and pays $1 to read the entire movie. Let's go. That's funny. So my mom told me this little secret. Eric's house, somebody, this was a good plot. Did I share this with you? This was a good plot. Somebody said that one of their idea, and I won't out this person, but somebody said one of their secret ideas is to make a donation to Eric's house at one of the events and then have me go to that and then just play Monty Python at the event. Because then I'm locked in. I can't leave. Which is a pretty good strategy. But now I'm going to be on the lookout for that. So the counterintelligence operation has begun, but pretty smart. Duck Fat, another good strategy. One old guy. Hey, Jack Joker Nicholson, never rub another man's rhubarb. Did he say that in that movie? Never rub another man's rhubarb. Was that in that one where he's like a writer or something? When I think of a woman, all I do is take away accountability and responsibility. How do you write for a woman? I just take away accountability and responsibility. Something like that. Oh, those movies. Hey, Donut, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is a book. It's better than any movie. And I don't think I've seen that one too, right? But I know some of the references from these things. Rick D says, come on, Rob. Everyone loved the Queen and Bond skit for the opening of the Summer Olympics. Queen and Bond skit. I think I missed that one, Rick D. Your boy's pretty bad with pop culture stuff. Pop culture stuff. Can't even say it, as you know. Milo, what's up? Never, ever watch the funniest joke. You will die laughing. Don't do it. Another reverse psychology. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. All right. I'm going to have to fortify myself after today's stream. I got to go put on some Rocky music, run up a mountain and just, fight back against the Monty Python encouragement. It's the eye of the tiger. Dun, 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 dun. Good stuff. All right. So my friends, once again, thanks for being here. And thanks for having some fun on that one. Rob almost missed this one. Says, when they are raising the flag, they are trying to claim they conquered the state for Somalia. Wow, from Rob. It needs a border wall around the state like one that separates Gaza from Israel to protect the U.S. I mean, I understand the idea, and it's kind of a fun idea. It's like Escape from L.A. I mentioned that earlier. But genuinely, I don't want to lose 1 ounce of territory to these illegal aliens. Not 1 inch. And the sanctuary cities that are enabling that should be brought to heel. And we should take our country back, just like Lincoln did. One old guy says, Batman, 1989, The Joker. Yeah, that was a good one. That was with Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson. He didn't say that in that movie, did he? Never rub another man's rhubarb. Oh, maybe he did. He did say that there. Yeah. When he broke into the house, right? Yeah. Yeah, it was a good movie. It was a good movie. All right, my friends. What a beautiful stream. Thank you so much for the fun. Thanks for the donos. Thanks for being here with us on the day. we'll pause here for the afternoon, but it's only Monday. We have a full week ahead of us, and we're excited to get into it. So until we're back here tomorrow, I want to thank you for being here, and thank you for subscribing and all the things. It's going to be a jamming week. You can feel it in our bones. But we'll pause here for the night, and we'll be back tomorrow in the morning to get into it again with our members-only community. We would love to have you join us. But if not, then we'll see you tomorrow afternoon when we're back here for the stream. Indeed. Indeed. All right. Great comments on locals. Okay, so we'll pause here, my friends. Beautiful stream. We're coming back tomorrow. We're going to get into it again. Before we close it out today, big thank yous to our mods and meme smiths. Thank you so much for helping mod the fort down for us and keep things nice and orderly around here. We want to shout out Donut Mind Me in the House. John McGarvey, thanks for modding the fort down. Muffin Rando, of course. K Bean and Carrie B, thank you. Neuro D, Janek, Dog Digger over on Rumble. Appreciate your help. We got Geegum Geegum, Elliot, and Just Rhonda, all modding the fort down for us, keeping things nice and orderly and beautiful around here. But my friends, we'll pause here for the evening. Tonight, I hope you have a great rest. You have sweet dreams, beautiful pleasantness bouncing around in your brain. And you come back tomorrow to join us again. We're going to get into it. And in order to do that appropriately, we are going to need to see you right back here so that together, with your help, we can shine that big, beautiful spotlight of accountability and transparency down upon our system with the hope of finding justice. Make it a beautiful night, my friends. Sleep very well. We'll see you right back here tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching, my beautiful friends. Now it's that time where the stream must end. We brought the heat with every chat and line. Together we expose corruption. One more time we dove in the truth where the media hides. Lit up the lies with receipts on all sides. The fight isn't over, but we made them sweat. We ain't done yet, no, not just yet. Because together we are watching the watchers. Truth on our side. Watching the watchers, we won't be denied. Watching the watchers, eyes open wide. Fighting for freedom with nothing to hide. So drop a like and don't forget to share. Bring a friend who's ready to care.